Doesn't people be able to hear us?
Yes, as in the people just heard that. All right, so happy Sunday evening and welcome back to Favored Allies. We are joined back tonight with our entire crew. Hi, entire crew.
Yay.
When we last left off, the group had arrived at the Temple of the Moon, this temple that they've been trekking to for just way too damn long. 2 weeks in game. We're not going to say how long out of game. The whole season, though. As you've arrived, Derek has peeled off to go and have some conversations with a smith that we're going to walk through in a little bit. But the rest of the party found out quite a bit about some of the goings on in the histories regarding some of the old ones. As much as there is information to be had, you found out quite a bit about how some of the more clandestine parts of this temple operate. And you met a few folks from Mama's Life. You met Ginger, you met Penance, you met Mother Corin. And after kind of debriefing with some of the secret keepers of the temple, you find yourself inside of a ritual chamber where Mother Corin and a few other elves have started preparing for the attunement ceremony for your elven moonblade. You do notice among them there's Corin, five elves, and one tiefling. This is someone that you have not met yet, but they glow with a pale yellow, almost jaundiced kind of color, a bit of like speckled flecks to the skin, almost as like little silver spots that seem to be like freckles, nearly. Um, and a pair of horns that come up straight and then come together into almost like a unicorn horn, twisted together, pointing forward. And seems to be the second in command, kind of organizing what's going on as Mother Corin is kind of pushing folks around to their different positions. And she sees the rest of you come up, and she says, "Oh, we're just about ready to start. We probably need another 20 minutes or so. If you have any other business."
We should probably check at the smithy.
Of course. Um, please, about 20 minutes, half an hour. It'll take us just a bit to get this together, but some of the ritual components are volatile, so if you could be swift.
Understood.
Can do.
And Tosha, you see some of the components are similar but different to things that you would work with. There's holy water, there's powdered silver. These are things that you're kind of familiar with seeing. There's powdered gems of some sort, and kind of alongside that there are oils, and you can kind of see that because of the nature of the religion here compared to yours, the holy oil and the oils and the holy water are prepared separately because of that separation between what is holy and what is burned. But as you kind of make your way upstairs through the stacks, through the spiral staircase, out towards the smithy that is outside, we go back to Derek. Derek, you were followed by a guard, again, probably not for the first time, to the smithy. As you've left Arnie sitting in a chair with like a little bit of grass sticking out the mouth, and Ramrod straight, awkwardly sitting there, looking uncomfortably like Alar.
Okay.
But you find yourself at a smithy where you see a dwarf, not necessarily who you were expecting to see, kind of working away at the smith, bright lights flashing as he strikes this sword that he's working on, and various colors and magical sheens come off as he works.
Does he look enwrapped? Sorry, this is gonna be rough.
Yeah, he looks pretty involved in what he's doing. Doesn't seem to notice you clanging up in your heavy armor.
Then I'll just kind of like walk straight like up to him and like a 14-year-old child to their teacher when they're doing something very important, just stare at them until acknowledged.
Um, Give me a perception check while you're staring at this dwarf.
Ooh, 18 plus 4, 22.
Yeah, with a 22, you do notice like on the other side of the actual smithing fire, there's like a little half wall that seems to kind of separate it and keep the heat off to one side of the stone. But you notice on the other side is a small or is a finely carved rocking chair. A couple of blankets draped over it, and a very thin, lithe, elderly figure, gaunt, um, a bit kind of pale and sunken features. This is an elf. This is an elf well beyond the typical years that you would see an elf in these parts. And just kind of gently rocking next to the fire.
You say it's a really nice rocking chair, yeah?
Yes, it's very finely carved.
And then I'm going to go up to the elderly elf. Go, excuse me. Um, could you move, please? I'd like to take a closer look at that rocking chair. It looks absolutely gorgeous. Look at the little ornate filigree.
I'm afraid I can't. I have not risen in quite some time.
How do you pee?
Oh, child, you'd rather not know.
Oh, gross. I'll tell you what, I can get some tubing, right? And we can sort out something for you so you never have to get up again and you don't have to sit in your own, you know,
Suffice it to say, it has been
mess.
sorted out. It is simply unpleasant.
Well, that's unfortunate. I'm Derek. I think I'm here either for that geezer or why do you hang out in a smithy in a rocking chair?
Oh, I am the Grand Master. That is my apprentice there you see working.
Oh, very cool. You busy?
Not as such, no.
Lovely. Pulls out this like tome of scrolls. All right, give me a quill with me ink. There it is. Right, I'd like to sanction from you, if you would, recipes necessary to forge with waters of life. Waters of life and waters of death.
Uh, Essence of life
Oh,
and death, you
that's
say.
correct.
Fires as well, I would presume.
You are correct. You are correct.
And who
Okay.
has spoken of such things to you?
Oh, really? Oh, oh.
Oh dear.
I had lozenges here. I really did. I swear to God. Do you know where they went? In my bag. Uh, old grandmum, great friend. She's one for sure. A couple of angels made of cogs, mates of mine.
You, you have spoken, yes, with fate.
Yeah, that's it. That's his name right here. Actually, I've got it. Phayte. Yep, Fate, the cog angel. Uh, put me on a quest because he's helping me out with something, so I'm helping him with something as well. 1 second.
I can I can sense the essence of a maker upon you, little
Oh yeah, I haven't had time for a
forgeling.
shower yet. There they are. Thank you.
I should think you might have most of what you need at this point. If you are to forge with the fires and the essence of life and death, I can train you and such. The specter that sits over you, this mantle of fate, it's like a crouching beast dogging your shadow. Interesting. Very interesting, little one. Yes, I am Vernon. That is as I have been
Oh, you're
known
Vernon.
for a great long time.
You're Vernon, outstanding. Yeah, no, you're been sent to see. You're right. I got most of my answers already, if I'm being perfectly honest, but I don't have a forge that can well, can forge in these specific mats.
Yes, that would make sense. You would need a proper crucible, something that could maintain these fires long enough for you to commit your forging. These are things not easily come by, not easily crafted either. That is what you would like. You would like the crucible such that you might forge for fate himself.
Yep.
Well, I could, were I so inclined, teach you to create such a thing and tell you where to find such components as to craft them. But
It's always a but.
I will save you the time. I have one. You need only clean it.
Hell yeah. Oh.
And you kind of see him lean, and there is a small bedpan under the chair. And as you look at it, it is inscribed with filigree and very fine runic carving.
Oh fuck it, I'm taking that shit pot. I'm a fucking. I eat half this shit.
My immediate thought is that's where all the piss went. I'm so glad that it's true.
Uh, I have one here. I suppose I could use a simple bucket. It was some sort of mark of pride a few hundred years ago when I decided that this would be my lot. But in truth, I'm ashamed to have hid this away as a piss pot. You may have it.
No worries, I'll make you a nicer one. As long as you don't mind it being made out of metal. Some people are self-conscious, when the stream hits the metal, it's a bit jarring and
You see this, it is made out of some sort of fine metal.
oh well, then you're used to it then. That should be fine.
Yes.
Wait, my crucible's made of metal.
Yes?
Would it melt?
Not this one.
No, fair enough. Well, I'm definitely, if you wouldn't mind, I'd love to take a closer look at this.
As you look over this, it seems to be made out of a similar steel to the armor that you had served previously, and it seems to be, from your understanding, from the schematics that you have, that this is crafted of dark steel, but there's something. As you look at you can almost see like a pattern in the metal where there's like some sort of underlying lattice, and it seems like it's made from a different method than the one that you're working on. I will save you a great deal of effort and time, I think.
It's literally how I live my life. Fastest measure possible. In fact, you've got a great deal of knowledge, Mr. Vernon. How old are you?
That's a question.
Give or take.
Give or take. Quite some time. In the days numbered by the gods, I believe I am 5.
Would I know how many that
You
is
don't
in
know
days
what the
not
hell
numbered by
that's
that?
supposed to mean.
Then I presume to inquire. I have no idea what that means. What about in, like, regular years?
They are fast and hard to keep track of. You understand. Something of 2,000 is my reckoning.
God, you might be nearly as old as Mama, I think. I don't know. I have no idea. We,
Oh, she is the child that they call Mama, yes. Quite an upstart.
I'm sure she was a
from
child
what
at
I
one
know.
point, yeah. I don't think anybody's called a child in a while. Do you want to write down everything that you know in a book so you don't forget it in your senility and then we can kill you?
Surely not. But I will
You're just
share
gonna
with you what you
sit
wish
in a
to
rocking chair
know.
for the rest of your life.
I have for the last several centuries. This seems as fine. You would rather I commit myself to death or
I
become
couldn't
a
give a shit either
tree?
way. I was in your seat, covered in my own filth for hundreds of years. I think at a certain point I'd want to die, go to the great God in the sky and go make some cool shit. Rather than just the regular ones.
Perhaps. I will think on this.
I can make a cool way to go, man. I've been thinking about it for years. Are you familiar with trebuchets?
Uh, Siege weapons are not really my area.
Hear me out. Triple trebuchet. You put them facing in all three directions, right? One north, one southwest, one southeast. Hook the person up to the middle bit, yeah? Let them all go. Fucking cool way to go, right? You get to spread people spread their ashes all over where they grew up or whatever. This just skips the middleman of having to burn it. I know, brilliant. You don't have
When
to
I
write it down. I'll get you.
when
We'll
I
consider it a trade.
when I decide that I am ready to go, I will seek your counsel.
Fuck yeah. I come up with so many cool ways. And you know what? I'm really good at other aspects of reforging, if you will, as well. By then, if you decide it, we can even try 2 or 3 different ways, right? Take you out, bring you back, take you out again, see which way you really want to go, and that's the one we'll write down. You get to choose your way of euthanasia.
You've given me a lot to think about, little one. Let us discuss these uh, these fires, this crucible, and
Oh
such.
yeah. No, that's important. Hang on, where's me quill?
But he walks you through the methods for creating this, and it's almost striking to you how simple some of these ingredients are to acquire or handle, and it really comes down to what you do with them. There are some invocations you do need to know some level of magic, but you would even think of these as being something like a cantrip. It's just you need knowledge of this in order to do it. But you are able to make a dilute version of Essence of Fire and Essence of Life. He mentions that there are ways to make it more concentrated, um, but he would rather not share that if you don't have a need that you could name for it.
Well, I'd write a book, Book of Vernon, Chapter 1, How to Distill.
I am not prepared to commit my knowledge to paper. Thank you, though.
Fair enough. I'll put it in here if you want. It's like a steel trap, this is. Well, my name isn't.
And
We'll come back to that.
he puts a hand on your shoulder.
Derek!
I suspect it will be a steel trap by the end. But, for now,
Oh, you're brilliant.
you may come back to me when you have wish to know.
Right, will do. What's your apprentice's name? I don't know why I started.
That's Graz, Stone Splitter.
Oi,
He's
Groz!
an apprentice. His father apprenticed before him. His father apprenticed before him. It runs in the blood.
Which you can use to make Essence of Life. If anybody here didn't know that. It's just,
He smiles. You're catching on.
I'm very good at this. Real quick, while I'm finishing my conversation, can I leave a job for you? Talking to Groz, if he's paying attention or if he's still engaged in work.
No, he, as you call to him, and he's heard that there's a conversation going on. He's just been involved in what he's doing. He's kind of gotten himself to a spot where he can place something in the fire, and he's like, that's going to need to go for a few minutes. Let me come over here.
It's like it's a cake.
It's just got to bake for a minute.
This $450 for. Oh, sorry, that's 4,500. Oh, that makes more sense.
Just glass firing it.
Can I I'll pull out a little script and I'll write it up here. Just like, how much would it take to turn this? And I pull out the wyvern scales. for some like a shield and some accoutrements for one who can't wear steel. I don't quite have the time right now. I'm becoming a master. I hear you're just an apprentice, which that's fine. You keep it up, champ. Work hard. You know, everybody's definitely gotten rich working for somebody else. I hear your dad was an apprentice and his dad was an apprentice. One of you guys will make it one day. I promise. It's all about the effort that you put in. But obviously dealing with some things. My voice is really going. Um, so if you wouldn't mind taking care of that while I'm making some more of this essence of life and death, and also trying to figure out a way to get my eye out without going unconscious. I would pay whatever your normal fee is with an expedition cost if possible.
Graz looks up at the elf, the aged elf, and Vernon looks back to him and nods. Yes. And Graz nods to you and takes the scales.
Thanks. I can help if you want, but I'm just very busy right now, right this moment.
Vernon turns to you. He was he spoke back a great deal when he was a boy and no longer has his tongue, as was his compensation for continuing his apprenticeship. So I apologize if he seems rude at all.
Oh, no problem. Question for you though, to Grez, sorry. Do you want one? I can make that the next day. I'm kind of doing eyes right now.
Once he's gotten the nod from Vernon, he kind of single-mindedly goes and starts working on the scales. And you see him start to work them almost like metal. He kind of holds it close to the fire, barehanded, brings it away, slams it out, and is like kind of starting to work it as though a soft metal.
Excellent. Oh, wait. And I also have chitinous skin bits. If you need something for the, what do you want to call it? The linkage, I suppose. I've also got some immaculate chitinous skin bits. I forgot about that bit. I've also got 4-week-old horse liver, if that's in any way helpful.
He takes the chitinous skin bits and just kind of holds up one hand when you offer the horse liver. He's like,
Fair enough. I eat it. Why is it in my alms box? Delete. There we go. Eaten. Well then, Verdant, last thing. Do you want to be a part of something very cool? I'm looking, as you can tell by this immaculate, and like one of the fingers falls off and it's a screwdriver. Oh fuck, hang on, I've got to fix that still. Just type the widgets, whatever. I'm looking to do something similar to this, but with my eyes, and I've got an idea on how to do it, but I need a very high quality gem. And I am willing to offer you 300 gold and some very diluted essence of fire and death in exchange for a gem of quality.
As you're asking this, you note that that Graz has he's clothed in clothes that seem to be comfortable, work well with the forge, and they are well kept, but they are extremely simple. His forge equipment is very fine. He even seems to be working the forge with an enchanted hammer, but he doesn't really seem to have anything on him that would indicate that he has or uses money. This is his life.
Not even gems for the crafting?
He's not really responding to you. You could ask Vernon about it.
Well, I was asking Vernon.
Oh, okay, you're asking Vernon. We do have some gems, as they are sometimes of use, but we requisition them from the church, the temple. Your best bet would be to speak with Mother Corrin or one of the priests of the temple.
With Corn? Speak with Corn sounds like a very Midwestern druid spell.
Speak with Corrin. It
Um,
already has ears.
Oh God, shut up. How dare you?
Welcome back.
Yeah, right. Um, all right. Well, then in that case, then can I just get a quick recommendation letter for my conversation with them to get a gem? He's got a sign here on this line. Do your fingers work?
He pulls out his own piece of parchment
No.
and starts to write out. It's a very elegant, like he is doing calligraphy on this little
Wow.
piece of parchment. It's extremely elegant and kind of like a little absurd. It takes him a good 5 minutes to write out basically 10 words and sign it.
That is immaculate. That is outstanding. And I'll gently kind of fold it and curl it up into a
And
little
you note on
scroll
there
set.
that there's a recommendation that they sell you a gem. So it's essentially like, yeah, I'm saying you should sell it to him. But there's nothing on there that says, like, give him a gem.
Okay, so as I'm rolling it up, it's really beautiful. You've got beautiful handwriting. In triplicate, please.
I'm sorry, what?
In triplicate, please.
Give me a
Where is it?
persuasion check.
Ooh, +3. How could this go wrong? 17 plus 3, that's a dirty 20.
Yeah, no, he very well. And he starts in writing it. Would you be interested in an apprenticeship formally?
I am running out of body parts, to be perfectly honest. Would I have to give up my tongue? It's my second greatest tool. And then
That
I nudge the old man.
very, very much depends on how much you like to talk.
Quiet as a mouse, me.
Then presumably not.
Barely ever open my mouth. I do always use my left pinky toe, though. Like, day in and day out, constantly using the left pinky toe. That's my father used to call me little old left pinky. That's family name.
There is something to be said about worldly experience and a craft. In the work of this fine apprentice that I have, Grass, and his family, they have been steeped in naught but the craft, and their craft is excellent for it. But none has ever been under the pressures of time, the concerns of the world, and was simply allowed to focus on the craft. If you would be my apprentice in the world, I could certainly exchange knowledge with you as you become ready for it, and get more requisitioned for you as you need it. Not always, but certainly a discount. The temple, some things are hard found, and the temple would not give them away, but these things could be done.
So, like a mutual exchange of knowledge, as it were. I'd learn from you, you'd learn from me.
In a way.
Cool.
More, I'm
I'm
interested
down.
in what
Oh.
happens when I have an apprentice who is not under my watch but gains my knowledge. Because
Purely order.
I have seen what has happened by those under my watch, and I fear that it is a failure of mine that none has ever risen to master.
I don't feel bad. We can't all be perfect. I bet you never even thought of the triple trebuchet before.
It's true. You have a
Got that
mind unlike those that I work with, and I have an appreciation for it. Out of game, I love the fact that he like tested you on the Crucible, and it just wasn't a test for Derek. Anyway, but he walks you through it, and it'll take you, you think, 3 days. Given that you've already kind of started in on some of the work for forging this as much as you could before you gained all your knowledge. It'll take you about 3 days, but you can craft your like fully finished crafting the piece that
the
you
cog.
need to. Yeah.
How does that work with our time frame? just being gone last week, would that
Yeah,
be
so it
a
took
time that
you.
we would spend here, or were we looking to go like tomorrow, kind of a thing?
Yeah, so it took you about 11 days to get here. You had 4 weeks, or excuse me, 8 weeks. So you're not even into week two, and it will take you between 2 and 4 weeks to get back. So you've got between 2 and 4 weeks here.
Okay, well, it works for me then. I mean, I'll clear it with the group first at some point, but yeah, that works for me for at least the next 3 days. I'll work on that cog, and
And
maybe
it'll
I can offer some filigree for Mama's shield, or
and those wyvern scales and the chitin that you have provided, they are excellent of quality. Whoever skinned them, I am impressed. But those will also take a couple of days. So if you are in such a hurry, I'm afraid that those would not get done.
no, fair enough. That looks like we will be sticking about. So, Vernon, it's been a honor. I hope you find a nice bucket to shit in. Um, thanks for the chamber pot that we're going to use to make this cog, and thanks for the letters of recommendation to have them sell me a gem for my eye bit.
Um,
Trying to think if there's anything else I need.
and it was a while. Like he walked you through how to use the crucible and how to actually like form those things. So around this time, you see the rest of your party as you're kind of like chatting and kind of wrapping this up. Comes out of the entrance and towards the smithy.
Look what I made. Just hold up black goop. It goes with this one. Lighter coloured, I presume. Maybe
Yeah.
a slight red or pink tint.
Well, that is something,
And
whatever it is.
and of what he has shown you to do, Derek, you can actually take the essence of life and the essence of death, and you kind of like combine it in the crucible, and you let it cook down. And once it gets to a certain thickness, it crystallizes, and you have these crystals of essence that you can throw into a
Cool.
fire when you need it.
Hell yes.
And you've got 5 of each.
When you finish this and you make your gear, how are you getting it back to fight? How is that working?
Well, I've got this one ball left on
Oh,
my
right.
necklace.
Okay.
So,
Makes
duh,
sense.
Dayla, duh.
I didn't
Come
know
on
if
now.
you'd need to pay him again to summon him a second time for the pickup. So,
Well, that's where you come in.
hmm.
What you're the patron, as the presumably high elves say.
High as fuck.
No, I mean he's gonna want the cog, right? He's gonna want it. He's not gonna just
Yeah.
be like, oh, he hasn't given me the phone call yet.
He'll just show up.
He'll just he's a fucking deity-esque. Well, not deity, but he's a clockwork angel.
True.
Does
You
anybody
seem
have
to
any
have had a
diamond?
busy day.
He's 3 days apparently. I need
3
to add
days?
this. So did you say I have 5 of each, Nate, or 5
Yeah,
total?
you have 5 crystals of each of essence
Okay,
of life and essence of death.
got it. And yeah, it's been busy, but that's me, busy Derek. Also, don't look.
Hat?
No, you could look. I don't give a shit if you look, but Mama, don't look at
Okay.
the forge. Look away.
Okay.
Is it ready yet?
I don't think it's been 3 days.
It's not been 3 days.
So no.
So no.
Yeah, don't look at it.
It's just scales.
I just turn around. I just turn
Mm.
around. Okay, so I'll just face this direction. Is this better?
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Okay. So, um, uh, well, I know we have to go back inside for the ceremony
Mhm.
here in a bit for the sword. Do you have some things that'll keep you busy in the time for us to go do the ritual? I assume you're still being followed around by our friend.
You actually see the Bashida clan soldier is nowhere to be seen. Derek, he must have just pissed off while you were talking. You're not sure.
Who?
Hmm. I mean, I kind of like look to my shoulders, but obviously I can't see behind me because I've now turned my back.
Mhm.
So I'm like, does is there anybody behind me of the soldier variety?
I don't see anyone.
Okay, well, and what am I calling you? I've called you everything since we got here. Which name are you using?
Alar's fine. Alar's fine. We'll just go with that.
Hey. Well, if they ask me about Elias, I'll have to say it's your middle name.
It's his middle name, but only his family calls him that.
Been
Yeah,
waiting
it'll
for
work.
this for so many episodes. Derek leans over to Tosha and just goes, "Who's Elias?"
Exactly. We're good.
I was never part of the conversation. I've also only ever seen your sister in passing. She's been getting on and off of carriages.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, have you the accent? Has he ever used the different accent around you?
I have. I assume Derek just doesn't care.
Yeah,
You guys
Derek
all
probably
sound the
does not
same to
know.
me. With the exception of you, Tosha, I get the rest of you all mixed up.
It's not in Goblin, so it's all sounding the same.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're not as distinctive as the folks in Bastion overall, for sure. But anyway, yeah, same. Elias is Alar's real name.
You have two names.
It appears he does.
That is very confusing.
A long pause. You know, most people have at least 2 or 3 names.
Why? For like different languages.
Well, you remember you mentioned the goblin puddle?
Yeah,
It's
sure.
to
Yeah.
help keep track.
Why?
Sometimes you just want to know.
So
Like, have you
in
ever
your
had...
society, two people don't have the same name.
Oh, sometimes, but usually the
Well,
second
then
name
what's
is
the
different.
point? So you can't have two people with the same two names, though. That'd be ridiculous.
Most of the time, yeah. That
So
yeah.
some of the time you don't. Some of the time,
Very
so you've got
occasionally you will
Alar
get...
Rocksmith and Alar Rocksmith.
Yeah, it's not very helpful.
I'm
I pull
completely lost.
Callie aside during this point, and I'm like, "Are you lost? Because I'm lost."
Oh, I was transing this whole time. I just once this starts, I just whoop. I just learned to do it with my eyes open.
So we're Callie, I'm gonna have Derek follow us in. But
Mm.
if anybody gets upset about it, I'll just tell them that I'll pretend that I don't know what's going on.
They're
Since
not
I'm
gonna
not
like me.
supposed to be back here anyway. And I didn't remember I wasn't supposed to be back.
Yeah, I got to thinking, and like my magic is middling at best, but they're all against the necrotic, and I can understand that. But forgive me if I am wrong, but ain't some healing magic of the necromantic spectrum?
Yep. They're a strange bunch, and as we saw but didn't see downstairs, there's some strange things afoot.
Mm.
So
Well, if they kick up a fuss, we'll just treat it like they did with the less rations bit.
you
He's
know,
coming, and that's that.
I don't know what I'm doing these days, apparently. I'm gonna hold tight to that.
Well,
If they want me to clear out that blight, well, we got to talk about that, don't we?
yeah, I think
Well,
I think that's a later in life kind of problem.
So I've been at the forge. So in order, you're scared because it makes a whole bunch of sense. What do you mean you don't remember? What do you find in there? I wish we had a paladin. And what's a blight?
well,
Well, this Alar thing's fucked me up. I'm not missing any more conversations.
Apparently,
I thought we just won. I thought this was the end.
I was supposed to die on that journey.
What?
And I didn't remember that I was supposed to do that. We do a final journey when folks start to fade. So apparently I've started to fade. Um,
Sorry, when you say journey, you meant the one that we did in not Bastion,
Kashir.
Kashir.
yep. Well, it's rare that someone comes back from a journey like that.
I
So,
see.
we- uh, to say I surprised some folks is a bit of an understatement. Um, Makes me a little worried about going to see Thorn, but apparently he's worse off than I am, which makes me worried. But they're gonna do a ritual for a sword for us. Um, there's a great place to plant Thorn, but it's been infected by the old Elven King and his daughter, and she's become a banshee, and he's become a walking tree who throws lightning. So,
Uh-huh.
we could also look for somewhere else. Um, so we got some thinking to do, Derek. But you
We
know,
Our options
Yeah.
are Lightning Tree or somewhere else.
we'll need to have some conversations around it.
Well, fair enough. And if you ever have to go on one of these walks again, if you're worried about, embarrassingly, staying alive and coming back, do you know what a trebuchet is?
I, I, I have no problem with embarrassing folks. I'm a little muddled that I didn't remember, but I have no problem with confronting them with their own mortality.
Fair
That's
enough.
on them.
Well, should the opportunity arise, I do need to practice this before I offer it to other. Oh, do you know Vernon?
Uh, y- yes, Vernon and I have met. So, but I'm not going to speak to him with my back to him. So we're gonna have to go back in for the ceremony. Are you coming with us, or are you gonna practice?
I'll come with you. Yeah, I'm done. He's the rest of this is mostly Graz's turn. Oh, say hello, Graz. Oh, he can't say hello. He says hello.
Well, that is a to do.
And I also say to Derek, we also learned a bunch of new things about the old gods that I can explain to you after the ceremony.
Oh, you
In a
mean the
very secret, in a secret place.
DRA DRA.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep. Apparently of particular interest to you, possibly, there was some kind of weapon that may have made them think they were dead.
Folks, we are outside. What part
Yeah.
of being in a secret room talking about what are you doing?
It's not like we know where it is. It's not like that would have literally
This
helped
is
anyone
not
do
a
anything.
No, my dad's got
bench.
one of those. He knocked this geezer so hard in the head
Mhm.
that he thought he was a sheep.
We should talk to your dad.
He had
Maybe
a,
we
he had a
can
weapon
find
that turned people into sheep or made them think that they were sheep.
All right, folks,
if
going
that
in for the
works.
ritual. Shush. Shush. We're going in for the ritual.
Righto. Ooh.
Okay. So I guess we go back inside.
All right. You make your way on down. Nobody. You've been passing in and out. You've clearly been seen with the daughters of Talia. You've clearly been seen with Mother Corin. Folks know who you are, Mama, even if they think it's weird that you're here. So nobody's really bothering you as you make your way back down to the ritual center, and you can see that around the edge of the room. Is the whole room is within the circle that has been laid of some sort of white dust. Mama, you're familiar with this in that it's called moon powder. It's powdered of some sort of just limestone or some other very light colored stone, but enchanted under the light of the moon, and it's used in rituals. So there's just they probably used 30 pounds of it to do like a nice heavy line all the way around this big room. And Mama, you know that you don't put monetary like numbers on this, but when you compare it to something like how effortful or how much it costs to make like a holy water, um, this is this would have been 100 holy waters, maybe 150. This was rather expensive.
I let out a slow whistle as I walk into the room, just because it's very expensive.
Yeah, you've seen there are some rituals that require like a component like this, but it's rare, and you've probably seen 5 in your lifetime that you recall. Um, but as you head in, you can see they're all garbed in these white, kind of silvery gowns. All of the priests, Mother Corin does Mother Corin, and you know this person to be named Glory. This other tiefling do not have the veils on, but everyone else has this veil that kind of like shimmers in the light that's in here. You know it's late afternoon outside. But when you come into this room, and Mama, you know that this means that they kind of started the clock on the ritual. There's a certain point where you have to start it in order to get all the enchanted things like in order. And as that has started, that little gap where you can see like a vent to the outside, it looks like the night sky through that little 3-foot hole. And you can see it almost looks like the moon is like moving into that space and hasn't quite reached the center. Um, and that moonbeam is kind of coming in and going towards the tablet, that top of that table. Um, and as it streaks across the floor, you can see that there's like a kind of sparkle to it. The dome, or excuse me, the ceiling in this room, much like Mother Corin's, kind of has like that. Kind of looks like the moon and the night sky, stars and things carved on the ceiling. But as you look, it actually looks as though the moon is completely missing where you had seen it previously. And you can see that carved in outline around that circle, that vent, that window. You can see the moon is like slowly moving in the stone, kind of encircling where the actual moon appears. So it looks like this kind of like moon is setting into this position. Um, and they, Mother Corin and Glory step forward and in unison look to the group. Who will be accepting the blade?
Um, well, I guess that's me.
And you believe that the blade will accept you?
Well, if it doesn't, I imagine I'll find out right quick. I've been carrying it as best I can. Been through much of that castle it came from, and it seemed to respond okay to me. So maybe, likewise, this sword might.
Excellent. Mother Corin reaches a hand out. May I take the blade?
Of course. And I'll take it out, and it's probably because she can't really use it, so it's just like wrapped in cloth, like it's been well preserved, and she just like polishes and stuff, and she'll hand it over.
You take the blade, and they kind of point to a spot near the tablet, near the altar for you to stand, and you're like kind of standing. Your feet are in the moonlight that is already starting to come in, and they point to various points around the room for the rest of you to stand, and they're like, silent reverence, please, as they.
Yeah.
Do that and kind of like let all of you know, like, please don't interrupt. This is very expensive. Don't ruin it.
Yeah. Before it gets too far, I'm gonna take the necklace off that has Val inside it and just hand it to Mama, just because I don't want the essence or the magic to like interfere. Just like, you know what? Just in case.
And as you kind of step forward, you see that Mother Corin looks down at the blade and looks at, because when you found it, there was one rune inscribed in it already. And as she looks down at it, you can see her eyes go wide and her cheeks go a little bit pale and pallid. Uh, and she like looks up at you and kind of this like, okay, we're doing this, uh, and sets the blade on the altar, and kind of has you stand before the blade. Mother Corin and Glory flank you on either side. Um, and Mother Corin begins, uh, as we have done for ages, we are here to celebrate Elfkind and bring a new champion of our people to the fore. Caligo Defara, of the clan of the Wastes, of the peoples of Old Lakshana. Do you wield this sword in the name of your people and for the betterment of our elves?
I shall wield it thusly.
And Caligo Defara, what is your mission? And as they ask this, you kind of look Mother Corin in the eye, and you can see like her face kind of right around, just like the upper like nose to the brow ridge looks different, as though it's like someone else's face gazing at you. And you just get this feeling, because you've had the blade near you, that it is very similar to the entity that you feel in the blade speaking to you.
Oh wow. She thinks for a second. She's like, well, to do as I've done since I was a tot, but instead of leading folk across the swamp, I'd like to lead all of Elfkind back to our former restorative state and to clear the blight from both our existence and from this world.
Calico Defara, of the hair. And you see all the little hair pins on your armor kind of light up lightly. And as that happens, you see your family name, essentially like a crest, uh, uh, stamp itself above the other name, just kind of crawl into the blade. And behind that crest, it glows faintly with the outline of a hair, much like your little pins. Um, and then you see the other crest on it glows green, and behind it, two trees. And she says, Caligo Defara, of the hair, you will be joining Regalian, the ruler, in the family ownership of this blade. Wield it as you will, for you are known to be a paragon of Elfkind. Let it be said. And the blade kind of like elevates itself off of the table and vertically kind of floats before you. And you can see now the blade's actually slightly different in shape. The end kind of comes a little bit brighter and gets a little sweep to it. Down at the base, you can see it's like a little bit thinner and kind of gets this almost like scimitar-like curve. And you can, when you see it, it's emanating. That kills the mood, but big rabbit energy. Like it's just like very energetic. It's just very like it is action imperative in an emotion, and you can just feel it as it floats towards you.
I will reverently like put my hands out forward to like accept it and feel it.
The blade rotates horizontal and lands in your hands. The Elven Blade has two. I'll actually share this with you. I've already made one in D&D Beyond. The Moon Blade has two runes in it. The first one is the Rune of the Ruler, which grants you a +2 to attack and damage with the blade, and the second is the Defara of the hair. And this provides two benefits. One, the blade gains the finesse quality, and two, once per day, you may cast haste on yourself only.
Wow. Once per day?
Once per day.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
Does the sword handle concentration, or does the wielder still do that?
The wielder handles concentration. Like, you may cast the spell once per day using the sword.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. I gotta make sure that my relatives are responsible folks to inherit something as fancy as this. Aw.
Mama's just weeping. She's just weeping over in the corner.
I think it's like shock on Kelly. It hasn't like fully sunk in. She understands, but it's just like it's a lot.
And as you're kind of holding it, that powdered stone all around the outside of the room catches into a white fire, and the fire crawls up the walls and kind of creates this dome within the room, almost as though, and then comes down to a funnel, almost as though like a reverse fountain, just kind of like coming back into one point, and that funnel kind of circles around through the room, around and through all of the people, and ends at the tip of the blade, and you see all of the kind of fire just kind of serpentines through the room and goes into the blade, and the blade glows, and now you can see that it has these two family stamps on it, one that you now know is of the family Regalian, one that is your family, and both of them behind the runes consistently glows in pale colors, the symbols of your enchantments.
Yay. So cool. Thank you.
But Mother Corin kind of snaps out of it, and you can see she looks suddenly very tired. And she just looks, and well, that was unexpected. I've performed such a ritual many years ago. The blade was not nearly as strong, if I'm being honest. I did not know you bore the blade of the family Regalian.
It wasn't confirmed, didn't 100% know myself, but this is a legacy and true inspiration and a new dedication from my whole life.
Well, certainly, the blade will hold you to it, if no one else. I must rest. Please do as you will within the bounds of the temple, as you are, Mama. You know. I will be available later this evening, but I must sit. And you can see her and Glory are actually aided by the others, kind of going up the stairs to a place where that they can kind of sit and rest. And it's just the group of you hanging out here in the ritual room.
I am just going to cross my fingers and hope that nobody realizes that we also stole his shoes. And that I'm wearing them.
Listen, those shoes will hold you to a lifetime of cat play.
You know, they say to understand someone.
Yeah, it's like an aggressive Fitbit. It makes you walk 10,000 steps a day. And if you
I look down worriedly at my shoes. Oh god, they're a legacy item. I have to perform a quest.
All right. So I want to check, as you've kind of approached this, are there specific conversations, specific people you'd like to talk to? I know several of you have, like, things to do, or research that you would like to get done. We can kind of bypass a couple or a few days of time to get some things done, unless, we can obviously, I know, Mama, you had mentioned wanting to speak with Mother Corin about that book that Alar is hiding, and I know there's specific research questions that you all have, so I just want to make sure that we're moving through the time, but still giving you the opportunity to have those specific conversations.
I think the only thing left on Callie's sort of to do list is because she's in this big, powerful place where there's a lot of knowledge. If she could speak with someone or find anything that could help her, like learn a meditation or a thing, like basically she's trying to strengthen her mind so she can block out that bad deity, but not like everything. Because obviously, like if the sword's going to communicate with her, she wants to receive that. But keeping out corrupting influences would be handy.
Yeah, if you bring that up to Mother Corin, I would say that you can work on that. Um, you're not sure exactly what that will look like, but you do know that like there are folks here who could train you in kind of working on strengthening like your kind of personal will and being able to block out the forces of others. Depending on how long you're spending practicing and learning that, I would say you could see like a material, like mechanical benefit for 2 weeks of practice. Otherwise, if you spent a few days with someone, it would take a couple of months without like a mentor to kind of like get through that.
Well, the other thing we got to decide is, are we, am I searching for a place for Thorn, or are we clearing the blight?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I think that affects the timeline a great deal because if we're staying here for a while to do some things, that also gives us less time to confront whatever we need to confront or
Let's say,
like
how big of a lightning tree?
Here's the
Hmm.
thing,
Hmm.
is that we are not only wielding his blade,
Hmm.
and
And
we
his
walk in his
shoes.
shoes,
Hmm.
but Callie, you did proclaim your mission is to remove blight, and that's a pretty big oath to the sword, and this is a pretty big blight to the people and for his name. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's
I'm not, yeah,
sorry. Go ahead.
I'm not going to hide it at all. I'm feeling kind of desperate to find the right place for Thorn, and if that is the most stable place for our people. But I'm not the only one participating here.
I
As
mean,
Well,
an sorry, no.
I was just gonna say it as the ideal place would be great, and I did make the vow, and I do mean it. I feel like rushing into danger is not always the best course, even though ultimately that might be the goal. Being wise and taking things at the pace that we should. It's all about the time. I don't want us to all go and then this sword falls into the muck because I have expired for not being strong enough or stout of heart or any of you to be harmed and dropped. You have destinies of your own. So, there are six of one, half a dozen of the other for
Well,
our
don't worry about that.
cause.
I could bring you back.
That's concerning. Um, Callie raises a good point. That tree's very clearly not going anywhere. And uh, my understanding of botany is a lot more limited than presumably yours is, but this tree, the memory tree, it would allow you to get more leaves that you could use to make more of the tea that you could use to make another memory tree, right? Like that would be doable?
Well, but you have to wait for a tree to grow.
No, I understand. I mean, like, but hypothetically, like long term, that would work, right?
Well, but if the goal was to save Thorn, then Thorn would be lost if that tree gets lost.
No, sorry. Let me clarify. you're not going to want long term to not have more than one memory tree, right? Like if you plant thorn and you get more leaves, at some point you're going to want to plant another tree so that you're not likely to have the problem that they had previously. So the area where the blighted tree is going you're going to want to use it eventually one way or the other, whether it's now or for a future tree. So if we find a place now for thorn to be that would be safe, fantastic. Maybe
Plant pot.
I don't think that'll do it. But my point is that we could. There are more resources we could get. There are more people we might be able to find. There are more things we could probably try to get together to come back, and like Callie said, be more prepared, stronger, more experienced in trying to deal with the blighted tree.
Well,
Will
will
the
we
soul get
though?
mad at you?
Yeah, I'm also looking at it from my perspective and not yours. So I don't know what you'd like to do with this.
My concern is time.
Yep.
I wouldn't want. I mean, it sounded from what Mother Corin said that Thorn only has a few more weeks. Time seems of the essence, and I would hate to go back to Bastion and get caught up in something. You know, what if we don't make it back in time to plant him? I I think that's my main concern, and to be honest, necessarily I don't necessarily know that I will survive the ascension or would survive it if we get there.
Folks, I'm going to stop you just for a moment. I'm going to excuse myself from this conversation because it's a little hard. I want you all to make your decision not based on emotion, but that's not a thing that I can afford to do. I will gladly, I'm still mama. I will gladly follow along with whatever y'all decide, but I'm going to leave the room and get myself a cup of tea, not from the leaves, but from a different thing. Um, so that you all can have
Bad
that
mix up.
conversation in all honesty, because I can't listen to dealing with him in bits and parts, because for me he's real. So y'all just excuse me for a moment. I'm going to take a break. And then she leaves the room.
Oh, I could have used a tea. And the subtle silence that kind of like fills the room as the, emotion spreads between people. Derek will lean over to Tosha and go, "Who's Thorn?"
Her husband.
Got it. Ayla, can you make alchemist fire?
With the right materials, yeah. I think so.
Do you want to make a tree killer?
So I asked about that last time. For the tree in particular, let me find. Like pulls out a notebook, starts flicking through. Where's the blight tree? I took specific notes on the blight tree.
Because I've got this idea for a backpack with 3 tiny trebuchets on the back
Okay,
that you put alchemist fire in,
there we go.
right? Pull on a cord and just.
Okay, so the problem is that they don't know what happened. If we're alone, I'll kind of like drop the accent. They know it's capable of manipulating lightning, so that's probably not going to be any big help to us. They know it's strong, they know it moves, but there basically haven't been any survivors from previous attempts to do anything. They may have tried to burn it. I have zero objections to building some sort of like alchemist's fire launcher that allows
Hell
us to get it
yes.
from like a further distance away, and I'll happily make you ammo. Um, I am mildly concerned it might not work if we're going to do
Excuse
that.
me?
No, not your thing. I meant the fire. Like I don't know
Oh,
if fire will work. I asked. We might. I mean, look, we make a launcher, put some alchemist fire in it, put some acid in it. We'll figure something out.
so
You
we
know,
make varieties of different possible
just one big
projectiles.
batch of alchemist fire, wyvern's poison, and acid, and just hope that for the best. You know, one
Oh,
of
we
them
could
hits.
call it something cool too.
I'm being a little facetious on that one, but we'll do what we can with ammo. Yeah, Tosha.
We could requisition some specific research on Swift Arbor Regalian or the Blighted Tree itself. I mean, the people who were there told us what they knew, but
Mhm.
it's possible that there's other information somewhere. It might take some time, but
Yeah. Here's my vote. And that's that we don't put all of our eggs in one basket. By which I mean we have
Bless you.
around 4 weeks of time, because presumably we would be going back the fast way, especially if we're spending time doing research and dealing with the blight tree and everything else. If we can, whoever like isn't doing research, whoever isn't in the process of prepping something or figuring out what's in the cool book that we got to talk to Corin about or everything else, we could have some folks try to find a backup location. And if we do, fantastic. And if we're really confident that it is safe and secure and there's no problems with it, then maybe we deal with the blight tree at another time. And if we don't, we have also by this point had Derek come up with an alchemical vial launcher that will allow us to punt these things across as big of a distance as we can. And maybe can you make a lightning rod that, like, I don't know, we just carry umbrellas over us that the lightning comes down and it hits the thing and goes into the ground and not us? That'd be great.
It's called a sword or a lance.
No, still holding that. I'm looking for something that, you know, the lightning goes around you, but yeah. I don't know. I mean, if we're doing this for them, I am assuming that this place is not going to be unhelpful in what we're trying to do. If they have something that would help, or we could try to find people if there's people here who would be willing to go with us on this.
An
I
amulet
mean,
of lightning resistance. That'd be
well,
great.
it would, but I actually meant more like, Callie, you're a paragon of elf kind. Time for a crusade. Let's
It's a weird choice of
get some
words,
folks
even for
together and
Derek.
get rid of a
Hmm.
tree. It's a crusade on trees, specifically one tree, but it's a crusade on banshees and trees.
Hmm.
Uh-huh.
so we're saying 2 weeks of research and whatever else we need to build here, and then see if anything is turned up with another location that we would be able to plant thorn or not, and then we have a couple weeks to try to deal with this tree.
It's an idea. I don't know
Yeah.
what other people feel like.
Derek's vote is FTBT.
Translation?
Oh, sorry. Pause that, Scott. Well, so I've got some notes here, and Mama's referred to us as family on no fewer than, let's see here, 174 different occasions. 3 times in her sleep, once over a meal, 67 times drunk. The list goes on and on and on, as you can see here. And I did some research of my own, because you're not the only ones who can read. I just do it slower. So I've googled. Fuck me. I've talked to my mate.
That's the goblin
Google
word for
Google
reading.
Bumblebutt.
Googled.
Yeah, no, he's a bloke. He's very, very well learned. He spent all his time reading instead of killing things, so we make fun of him and bully him all the time.
Aw.
But he says in this context, family doesn't mean what it normally does, which is people you can eat if you run out of food. Stop begging, fiddlesticks. I see you in the background there. But it's a little bit more meaningful, and I could be a misinterpretation here, but it's obvious that the lightning tree is the route in of which to go that's more on the path of what she set out with to, um, not bury, what's the word? Plant
Hmm.
Thorn, who's her husband, Ayla.
Hmm.
And so yeah, no, FTBT, fuck the blight tree.
I want to
I
be
mean, not literally, but like
okay.
this like if you follow my pathway here, I've laid it all out, and I'm learning quite a bit about what like family means and all that noise, and it seems all right, but it feels like if we're just like pussing out, um, it kind of seems to be going a bit against this one here. No, it was another one when she was drunk. You never
Mhm.
puss out on families. August 17th.
I'm just worried about all of us getting killed.
I told you, don't worry about that.
That's not look. If you get killed, you can't bring anyone back.
That's fair. That's very pragmatic. So,
You
if
gotta
one
keep
of us
trying.
has to die, it shouldn't be me. I agree. I agree with Ayla.
It's a terrifying thought.
All right.
Yeah.
Look,
And we get to have a montage where we build like, the fails are going to be hysterical. Where it doesn't launch or it launches straight up and we have to scurry.
either way, we might need more people.
Mhm.
So if we can look for another place for this tree, uh, I believe we talked about it before, and I've heard this is not your drink, kitty cat, not for you. Um, there might be magics that can enhance Earth that is otherwise less desirable than this blighted grove.
Mhm.
But either location we go to, having more folk would be good. So
Mhm.
we can spend time, look for a backup place, rouse some help. It's not that I don't want Thorn to be put in the good place, the best place. My worry is that we're going to be right down on that earth with him.
Yeah.
And that ain't helping nobody.
Mhm.
So I don't think, to ask an earlier question or answer an earlier question, I don't think the sword is going to push me to do this instantly. I think this is an entity that has a long existence, a long memory, as it belongs to elves who, up until, according to this history, lived for quite a while.
Mhm.
So, best location may not be ideal situation, but I say if we can prepare for both
Mhm.
and, say there's no location that's better, then we go to the tree. But if we can, if there's hope, we will get Thorn the best place we can and return to cleanse the king and his daughter when we feel like it isn't a fool's errand for absolutely everyone involved.
Mhm.
I just met you and I don't want to lose you.
Tosha.
Yeah, I know how much
Fine.
Thorn means to Mama, and I don't know how I could be okay with it if she lost him because I was trying to get back to Bastion. So I think I agree. It seems prudent to explore if there is another option, but I have a feeling if there was, they would know about it and they would have, you know,
Mhm.
told
Well,
us. So I think it's worth looking, but I just, with the time we have, I'm afraid we're going to end up having to either decide to leave or to fight
Mm.
against this blight. And
Mhm.
I think we should choose to fight against the blight if it comes to that. But I'm in agreement with taking some time to find out as much as we can, rally any more people we can, see if we can find an alternative location that would be safer. Uh, I just I I'm trying to be prepared that it might end up that we have to go for it either way.
I think we're all in agreement. We don't leave here without Thorn planted. It just depends on what seems like the best option. You had something you wanted to say, Callie?
Yeah, I was just gonna pipe in slightly that this was the ideal place. That's where the last one was.
Mhm.
But up until like yesterday, they didn't even know there were any more leaves to have hope for. So why would you bother looking for another place when you didn't even know you could plant? So
Yeah.
I'm saying there might be hope, but I am on board with the plan as it has been laid out by Tosha and all y'all. So
Say it. Say the acronym. Say it.
Fibidibid.
Yeah.
Okay. For logistics. Derek, you need to finish making that gear.
Gonna need
But
your
once
help.
that's you need our help?
Yours specifically.
Why?
This is our bonding moment. We get a montage of flinging shit at other shit and
me-
building backpacks that
Let me okay, no. The gear. You need my help with the alchemical launcher. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
What do you mean by
sure.
the gear? Oh, the cog. No, the cog. Yeah, the cog's no problem. Flicks
Gotcha.
like an essence of death in the air and catches it.
Nice. So you need to deal with the cog, get that done, and then once that's done, alchemical launcher, which if we use it or not, maybe it'll come in handy. I need to make some stuff and things that I definitely didn't see downstairs because I was not looking would indicate that possibly they might have someone around here who could be able to help. They're all smart. They probably have other botanists or something.
Oh, well, we need a really good, almost 1,000 gold, 2,000 if we can find it, diamond
Why?
or a precious stone, precious gem.
For what?
We'll call it the scope for the launcher.
Jesus fucking Christ. Okay. All right. Okay.
I have disadvantage at 60 feet and further, Colin.
No. It's fucking fine. I wasn't thinking you were going to be using it because I figured you'd be better with the actual like spells and shit.
Oh no, I'm not supposed to die. I gotta stay in the back.
Casting spells and shit.
Yeah. Cast spell. Oh, I have an action. What am I gonna do? Run up and hit it with a wrench? Nope.
Okay, let me take a look here. You need like a really high quality gem.
Really high quality, like
Okay.
worth 1,000 gold.
Gotcha. All right. So none of the stuff that we found so far is going to qualify. Those
No,
are
but
not
I
nearly that.
did find out from Vernon that we can requisition one from
We
here.
could buy one, is what
Yeah,
he said, right?
requisition. It said
Okay.
they could sell it to us, but I presume at a discount if we say we're doing it to kill the tree.
Yeah, that actually is kind of a good point.
And now you see the path of logic that Derek has been masterminding this entire time.
If we need to get resources from them, they did offer to buy texts. I'm not sure about selling the genealogy. I still need to take a look at it. I don't know how you feel, Callie, about the Journal of Regelian. And I think Tosha, you wanted to definitely keep the biography of Eamon Case. So
Well,
I
given
we-
the swords history, I might want to keep it for reference, but I might agree to like put it on loan to such a location. So long as I could come and claim it. I don't want to give it up because I feel like I have a duty to sort of, I suppose, protect his knowledge. It still might be useful to us somehow.
Well, they can protect it for you, so if you go down in the muck, you don't lose it.
Hey Nate,
Yeah.
Yeah.
the books that we got, like they're ridiculously old.
By and large, yes.
Was it that they were in a library that had abjuration magic to keep everything safe, or the books themselves have something on them that like keeps them from
The library itself seemed to be protected, and Regelian's stash, where you found his journal and some other things. The actual stash itself had protection on it, similar to the case that you have, the preserving case.
Yeah. Okay. So it's not the objects; it was the canister. Really,
Yeah.
really good Tupperware.
Enchanted Tupperware.
Um, at the very least, it means that the books aren't going to crumble apart anytime soon. Long term, they probably prefer to have them in like an old book vault, but we don't have to worry about that right now. So, okay. We have people to talk to.
At this
I'm
point,
assuming.
Mama knocks with
Mhm.
her elbow, and she's holding 2 cups of tea, and she gives one to Derek.
Hell
Oh,
yeah.
I heard you on my way out. What are we doing?
Aylar looks to Callie.
Well, as best we can figure it, Mama, being as informed as we can is our strongest bet. And either way, we need more forces than we have to face what comes. So, in the time we have, we are going to try to research a spot we could take Thorn that would be a respectable, protected place to plant a tree. If that is impossible, then we will broach the Blighted Grove and try to bring forces with us so that we stand a better chance. Because much as I want him in the optimal spot, again, I don't want to put you down there with him and everything be lost. That helps no one. And as much as I feel the emotion, the whole collective memories of all elf kind are in your hands. And that has to be apparently my priority. So we will do the utmost best we can in the time we have, and push comes to shove. So,
Oh, that's fine. I
yeah.
just needed to plan because I was getting emotional. And
Oh,
tea is always very good. If it's not going to be bog water, it better be tea.
We, speaking of tea,
mm,
probably should talk to Mother Corin about mobilizing anyone we can, getting any assistance that's possible, any extra information that could be gotten a hold of. The Daughters of Talia might have, or be the ones we need to talk to for some of the info or the alchemical stuff, any of the, but they also might have other things here, other people that we need to, that we could work with.
Well, we should talk to Penance about looking for places around here, any kind of location. I mean, if anybody's going to know it, the guards are going to. But
Yeah.
also, we've made some friends along the way because we returned the moon necklace.
Mhm. We might also want to see if Penance and some of the other guards would be willing to lend a hand if it comes to.
Well, look, if we don't find a place, if I have to go in there by myself, and that's what I'm doing. So
But
we
you're
better
not.
find a place.
So
Okay, let's get to it. We
Yay.
got projects to do.
Here you
all right.
go.
All right.
Terry
So,
gives Mama the FTFB battle plan, which is just literally those letters in common on the top, and the rest is entirely in Goblin with like weird drawings of like catapults and shit. There's like fire. There's a bunch of scribbles in one page.
This is amazing. If I had a fridge, I'd put it on there.
Leans over to Tosha. What's a fridge?
I don't know. I haven't heard that one before.
all right. So, tentative plan in hand, literally. We're going to go ahead and take our 10-minute break. And then when we come back, we will see what gets done, what gets created, and what conversations that we have left to have. So, we will see you in give or take 10 to 15 or 18 minutes. See you in a bit.
see ya.
Gone. GON. Dragon.
All right, and welcome back. Uh, that was some number of minutes. I definitely looked at what time it was before we stopped. But time to find out what we're doing. So, you kind of have a loose plan. It sounds like the group is looking to do a little research on where other options might be for planting or starting a memory grove. You are looking into what it might take to deal with the blight, and if there are folks that you could get to help you with that. And otherwise, Derek in particular and Callie have some things that they're working on. I'm sure others have some things, research or otherwise. So it sounds like, from what you had said, you had wanted to spend about 2 weeks to have like a scouting group go look around for a better spot. Um, so that'll give you 2 weeks that you want to work with as far as research and other craftings, etc., that you might want to do while you're here. And I know that you still have not spoken with Mother Corin, particularly about the one book that had come up last time.
Hmm. We need to talk to Mother Corin about mobilizing anybody else here. So, do we want to go ahead and do that first?
Yeah, that sounds good. I also wanted to ask her about someone who might be able to tutor me, uh, so I can better control my magic potentially.
Um, we're all out of order, right? Like, this is the day after the sword ceremony at this point, or
She said she was going to take a nap in the afternoon and then she'd be available in the evening.
okay.
Yeah,
So
it's
we're still
still
the
it's
same day.
still the day you arrived.
Gotcha.
Busy day.
Busy
Yeah.
day.
Um. So she's the lady like in charge of everything, but the Daughters of Talia, as I understand it, and I might need a bit of a refresher. They formed based around Talia, who is the king's daughter, who is trying to preserve slash grow the tea leaves. So, what is their responsibility in the times recently? Is it protecting the grove? Is it what's their deal?
Their specific
Keeping secrets.
responsibility is keeping the secrets of the temple, and so that involves sometimes things with the memory groves. But like by and large, it's more about forbidden knowledge and keeping that knowledge away from the folks that they would like to forbid it from.
Okay. Hmm.
I think one of the Daughters of Talia is the only person other than Mother Corin who knows about the tree so far. If we're recruiting extra people to go hunting for an area, they may need to be told something. But I don't know if that's a task for the Daughters of Talia, or what the plan there would have to be. Either way, so do we just burn an afternoon or do anything that people might want to do before getting to talk to Mother Corin, or does anybody have anything they specifically want to do like right now?
I presume it wouldn't be Mother Corin that we would be ordering research for, so in
Mhm.
addition to what we learned from the Daughters of Talia, I would definitely want to go and try to order some specific research be done in the next couple weeks while we're here.
Mhm.
All right. So to kind of just keep this moving, we'll get your research orders in essentially now, have the conversation with Mother Corin, and then kind of go from there. So specifically for the next 2 weeks, what are the things that you want researched?
So I think, and obviously feel free anyone to chime in if there's anything like different, or otherwise, but I think it would be helpful to order some specific research on the blight,
Hmm.
and anything they have about Swift Arbor Regalian and Talia specifically, to see if we can get any more information about that if we end up having to fight them. And then I also wanted to see if we could order some specific information or research on Chris Viden, the elf friend, and the Calmente, uh, the destroyer, since I feel like those are the ones we know the destroyer's trying to come back for sure.
Mhm.
I would obviously like to put in research on all of these, so y'all let me know if there are other ones that you would target. I just figured in 2 weeks it's probably reasonable to start there.
Some of these are long-term things, and I think that likely there's going to be a situation where we're done here, we go back for the Ascension ritual, and then maybe come back here if there's some like extra research that we need. So,
Map of the area with stable ground.
Yeah, and anything about cleansing rituals or like especially dealing with spirits. If we're like, I know we don't know specifically all the beasts, but we do know that she's a banshee, so we can look into how we can deal best with that. Just sort of like the more knowledge we can have about the things that we know we're going to have to face, the stronger I think that will be. And if we can like cleanse ground, if we can do rituals for something like that to help, if we find like another site and we can do, I think there's something called like plant growth. I think a ranger can know it, but Callie doesn't at this point. That can like enrich a land if you do it for 8 hours for like a year. So like we don't just have to take, if we can get stuff like that, either way, I think would be good, because we have to fight corruption.
Also, if anybody, especially the daughters of Talia, know what the plan was for fighting the blight, because no one came back. But do
Mhm.
they? Is there a secret keeper who knew what the plan was?
Yeah. Talia, not Talia.
What they were going to try?
What was the name?
There was Verity, and there was Stone Splitter.
Verity was saying something to the extent like they didn't know because there wasn't any account, no one had survived, but maybe there's a record somewhere of what they were planning.
There was a survivor from at least one of them. You do know that
Okay.
that the Druid Circle was crippled to 1 at one point, but that was a survivor.
Okay.
That is knowledge that you have.
That's scary. Okay.
And I think the group is right, so I'll rescind for now the research on the old gods, because I think that's more long term and something, once we get through some of these other things coming up that we would be able to explore more. And instead, any information they might have on Eamon Keese or Elion in preparation for the Ascension is definitely something I wanted to specifically research.
I can
Well,
have
and
access to plant growth.
if it helps too, like once we get our research to go out on this mission, we could always queue up that other stuff that you're long term wanting, and then at least it's going, because we're not gonna get it before we get back.
Yeah, and if post Ascension, whatever that ends up looking like, we could also always come back to find out more too, so that makes sense.
It's probably too much to hope that the sword of Swift Arbor Regalian would somehow be helpful in calming down Talia's ghost.
Stab it.
It might be more useful with Regalian himself.
Yeah.
Since they probably had a relationship. But yeah, you never know. If she sees you as a representative of the family, it's worth a shot. But yeah, so the things Kelly wants to do in the 2 weeks is find a mind Yoda to work with, and then like during the day, and then at night she's going to do her best to do like a William Wallace of like rallying the troops and inspiring them, calling them to like battle and showing the sword and like we're all elves together and blah blah blah. And yeah, I mean, this is our chance to reclaim what has been lost and banish curses, and you can all be a part of history.
All right. So for research, we've got New Memory Grove areas, map of the area with stable ground, any kind of magics that might be able to protect or improve the ground, Um, I've just got this as one group: the Blight, Swift Arbor Regalia, and Talia, and Spirits. Just kind of all these things kind of related to them in the fight. Um, and then Amon, Keese, and Elion. And then beyond that, kind of back burner, Chris Vadine and Calmente. Are there any things that you want to research, look into around crafting, recipes, other things that you might want to kind of explore? Because again, this, while you have very specific purposes, you do have 2 weeks, and if other people are doing this research, you can spend the time doing something yourself as well. If you would like to start learning a language or start work, this is the kind of place that you could pick up skills or
My
other
I would
Yoda.
start.
knowledge.
Yeah, I would start. Well, I know that Aylar wants to learn Draconic, but I also would, especially because of my daughter who's Dragonborn.
I'm pushing that to the back burner because hypothetically, if we go to the Ascension ritual and then leave it and need to go north or back here, could try to get Callie to like teach us a language or something on the drive effectively.
I'm looking at something quick at 5E crafting items to see if someone else can use the spells.
Yeah, when it comes to crafting magic items, if you're trying to craft something that's like a wondrous item, you definitely need to be like a primary magic user. But if you're crafting armor and weapons, you don't need to be a caster, or you don't need to cast specific spells like you used to in 3.5. Like, it's less rigid.
Yeah, I would like to do the studying magic to better control my abilities thing. And then I did want to talk to Derek about potentially crafting something to help me if he does have time during this period. Essentially, I wanted, at the most basic level, I wanted just like bells on a string so that I could get Alar or someone else who's in combat close up to like tie it on to an enemy or adhere it to them in some way, because if I can hear them where they are, I can
I'm
shoot
so glad you said
spells
that.
at them. So if Derek has a better idea, like I'm not the one with invention, the invention mind that he has. So if he has a better notion of it, but at its simplest level, I was just thinking of something like a bell.
So I can definitely do bells for you. I've actually already made you something. I'm so glad you said. I was gonna wait till the moment we were alone so I could exchange gifts, but I've got you this little like circlet hat that you put on, and it's just got a really long, thin stick of metal that goes out about like 3.5 feet, 4 feet in front of you, so that you can move it left and right, and it like clacks against something. You know, there's something there. But I can work on bells. That's a way better idea. But you can keep the unicorn hat for now.
Good. I mean, that'll work in close quarters at least. So
I'm really excited for you to like poke people in the eye as you're like walking through doorways and shit. Because initially I was like, oh, I'll make them a cool like blind person's cane or whatever. You can clack it around in front of you, whatever. And I was like, oh, but somatic components. So how can you keep the hands free while still offering some way of knowing if there's something in front of you? Don't attach it to the hand. And the head seemed like the most next, reasonable.
yeah, it's also interesting because Tosha's quite tall, so I'm also thinking if anything shorter was fighting them.
Just walk right through it. That's a good point. I didn't think about that. I'll work on the bells.
For Elias, I'd like to ask if anybody here has some, and this may end up being a question partly to the daughters of Talia, but like if anybody here has some alchemy training and knows recipes, methods, ingredients that are required to make more damaging stuff. Because right now, I can make some pretty minor things, but if we could get in a position of being able to make like bombs some sort of explosive or some sort of damaging thing that we could chuck in that direction, that might be ideal.
I was thinking of just banding up in like a big ball, like alchemist fire, acid, holy water, holy oil, caltrops, just like an amalgam of everything that we as a group can produce, and just wrapping into a big ball and calling something cool. And then just opening with that and watching it do literally no damage, but then going into things as per normal.
The alchemist fire immediately incinerates the holy water, and the acid is put out by the like.
Basically, you have a goblin on
Yeah,
fire just running around back and forth. Not like this, not like this.
It's just the bit from the second Lord of the Rings movie, but it's Arnie holding a bomb and charging towards the tree.
Charging
Yeah, very slowly.
as it's a zombie, just like clunk clunk, clunk clunk, clunk clunk, holding this thing.
We should have done a bigger fuse. Okay, no, I was just looking up the stuff in the DMG for crafting magic items and whatnot, and what the costs were and the minimum levels and things like that. But one of the things that was throwing away for me was the I don't have proficiency in Arcana is the thing that's fucking me. So I was wondering
There's-
if like Tosha can.
There's also separate rules in Xanathar's, and I don't know
That's what I'm
Nate
looking
would
at. It's the
but-
same thing.
Okay.
I need the
Oh.
I need the appropriate tool proficiency. Or proficiency. Never mind. Hang on.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, you're definitely proficient, like able to do this. You in particular, because you have started down this path of magical crafting and were set on it by a greater entity. Like, you are capable of doing this in a way that common folk are not.
Excellent. Then I suppose the research would be who can wear metal in this group? Myself. Ayla, can you wear metal? Do you wear like chain?
Yeah, I can wear metal.
I can wear up to medium.
For me, it just needs to be light. So if you wanted to stud leather, you could. I think I'm fine on armor, but I don't know why I think that.
Because I mean, the
I
idea
have
would be
glamored
like
studded leather. That's why I already have like the top tier armor that I can get. To be honest,
my because my whole shtick in terms of replacing parts of himself, there's just not really that much of a precedent that I don't know what I would ask them to research to help me with like making an eye.
So you could ask.
Go get me a gem.
You could ask about crafting. I mean, I would say those are wondrous items. So you could ask them about crafting things, and you wouldn't necessarily. There are such things as magical grafts. They are, depending on who you talk to and where they come from and what experience that region has had with it, they can be things that are caused for terror and concern as what sort of creature would do that to themselves or someone else. But in other places, they have been like you can make a leg that somewhat resembles a regular leg and works primarily as well as a regular leg using magic. That is something that has been done. So these are things you could look into. You're just doing like a significant. You're not doing like a prosthetic leg. You're doing like a magic item in place of a leg, for example.
I see. I suppose that would be my direction then.
Yeah, you could absolutely. I would say that in 2 weeks, and you're spending the first 3 days on one thing, you're spending another, I would say, probably 2 days on that. If you're doing the backpack, that's going to take about 2 days to get that working and stable.
Hell yeah.
There's going to be some like metal armatures and things inside of it to like stabilize it and give it something to like push against your back solidly and everything. So that'll be about 2 days, but that leaves you with like 8 more days that I can math. 2 weeks, 9 more days to kind of research whatever you want. And I would say in that time you could figure out how to make one new thing. Or modify something that you've already learned how to do.
I know how to make the eye. I just need to find this fucking gem.
Yes.
Could I look into modifying it so it's, let's see, night vision? Do I guess true
Yes.
sight?
True sight or dark vision? Which would you?
Or is there? If they're the same, then true sight, obviously. But if they're not,
They're
then
not. True
night
sight.
vision.
True sight. It will take you the same amount of time. It's just a difference in cost of materials and time. So, like to make the true sight eye, it's going to cost you a couple thousand. It'll take you about a month to make. To make the dark vision eye, it'll take you about a week to make, and cost significantly less.
Let's do dark vision for now. But true sight might be something to improve upon the unicorn hat. If you let me take out an eye,
Uh,
will Jamie let me operate on them? Let's find out.
but yeah, so like if you want to do that we can basically say that you can, given the rest of the time, if you have all the materials and the money, research the putting dark vision on the actual gem and make the eye. I think with your remaining days you could make that happen.
Ooh. Can you give me a total cost just so I can see what I can?
It's a
Because I don't think I'm gonna
it's a
have enough.
1,000 gold piece gem, and then it's going to cost you about 500 to enchant it with the dark vision.
I need money.
You haven't tried to get a discount yet, given that you're an we'll say an apprentice at large.
Can we master Derek?
Also, if it helps, Kelly with the sword, very visible when he goes to make these negotiations for price. We'll go with him and just kind of like, yeah, it's for the mission, you know. It's
Oh,
very
I'm bringing
important.
Ayla. I'm not making that. I'm not making that roll. I'm bringing Ayla for 100%.
Oh, I know,
And
but I
holding
mean,
his
like,
hand and guiding him.
hero sword.
Okay, go.
Okay.
Okay, double checking. Am I really the best person to do persuasion in this party? Because like, I'm not. I don't have that as a skill. I have a +3 in it, but like,
Do you really only have a +3 in persuasion?
I
I
didn't
have a
take it. I
plus
took
5.
deception.
Get out of here.
Mama
What was
has
that,
a plus
Mama?
5.
Plus 5.
Look,
Yeah, I
you
think
want me to
We'll do
lie
with
to
Ayla.
someone? I'm good, but
Pushes
Plus
Ayla
4.
out of the way, grabs Mama's hand instead. I'm not saying you've been replaced.
Yeah, Mama, go ahead and just give me a persuasion check with advantage and guidance.
Okay. 16 and an 8, and guidance is 4, right? A D4. 18 plus 2 is 18 plus 5 is 23.
Oh,
Woohoo.
okay. So for 23, you got above a 20, you have a paragon of the elves literally next to you. You are Mama, and Derek is an apprentice to Vernon,
Pals with Vernon.
as folks understand it. So you could get the components entirely for 750 gold, including the eye,
Nice.
the gem. And it is, because you're putting dark vision on it, it is a very finely polished and faceted obsidian.
Can I borrow some money? Do they offer loans?
They do not.
Ayla, how much money you got?
not very much. Not in the numbers that you're talking about. Nowhere near that.
Let's see here. How much money do I have of Tosha's? 163.
I
Kelly
burned.
has 200. You can have.
Ooh.
I have less
have
than that because I burned
200.
some on alchemy stuff.
And I'm doing the math now. I just can't find the plus sign on this fucking keyboard. There we go.
We have other books. If there's anything that we're interested in possibly selling to the daughters, they offered 2,000 for the genealogy. We could try selling some of the other stuff that we have to them, just depending on what we feel like.
I feel like if they really want it, they'd go higher.
Oh, you can go for it.
I didn't say that though. They do have a bitey book downstairs, so
I don't know what you're talking about.
Also, during the 2 weeks, I would like to attune to the blade. Officially.
Yeah, you attune that ceremony attuned you to the blade.
Awesome.
I believe it's already attuned on your character sheet.
Oh, is it? I should refresh. Oh, cool.
Do I get armor?
Yeah. So I want to make sure. First off, I want to make sure that this purchase is completed, and then I was going to start. Like, we haven't actually started passing time. I just want to get all the things completed that need to get completed.
Something.
I have
Sorry.
200 gold.
I actually only need, if Callie's willing to give me 200, I only need about 47. If Tosha's willing to let me spend some of their gold. Otherwise, I will also need.
Yeah, Tosha doesn't care. Spend all of it. Like they said,
Yes!
what we need is stuff to do the oil, but we don't have like a pressing need for that right now, and I have a couple already.
On the off chance that we want more money, someone has a real fancy book that we can't use right now or for the next 100 or so years, but coming down the line, the Daughters of Talia might be interested in purchasing that book off you. I'm about to say Callie.
Yeah.
If you're okay parting with it, you could probably sell it to them for a pretty penny, considering it's really expensive and really magical.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a drop in the bucket for an elf. I mean, sorta.
Yeah, but like, I'm not gonna probably be around for that, and I don't
Oh,
think some of the rest of us are.
If everything goes well, I'll see them in 200 years for the
Yeah.
not the next tick, but the next. If they're interested in that, I will. Well, and it came from. I think that came from the King's Library as well,
It
right?
did.
Yeah.
They seem one interested obviously in the magic. They would pay more if it wasn't recently used, but given the magic that's in it, and then they're particularly interested because this looks like it was custom made for the royal family. And so as they're like looking through this and over it, they do offer you 1,000 gold for it.
Go higher. They were offering me 2. Go higher.
Yeah. So it's like, well, that's certainly generous. And also in the interest of building relationships, I will allow you to have the journal while we go on this mission and during this time leading away. If you could perhaps do a little bit more, we can, because this is not for me. This is for the success of all of Elvenkind. So what's a little gold for all of our memories forever? If you can.
Go ahead and give me a persuasion check.
Okay.
I'll let you know the DC is 25 to raise that above 1,000 gold.
My persuasion is +0, so
Nate.
Yes.
If multiple of us are here for this conversation, and that's up to Callie, I'm wondering if like there's anything we could do to help.
Guidance?
Yeah, I was going to say you could roll with advantage with help and have your D4 with guidance, but if you're at a +0 at your persuasion...
Okay, if I'm rolling with help, my roll will be a natural 20 +0, and then +4 is a 4, so 24 total.
They offer you 1,100 gold, and you see them digging into their own pouch to pull out the last 100.
Oh, that's nice of them.
That is fair. I will thank you. This helps so much, and I will exchange the books. Like this one was alone. This one you have.
Nate, am I misremembering? Did the Daughters of Talia offer 2,000 for the genealogy?
They did.
Okay,
the specific daughter that you spoke with said that for that specific book, she was allowed to offer you 2,000 gold.
Okay. So
you get the sense that there is like a rigid hierarchy to what they are allowed to pay for what and how they keep it.
Okay.
And you do know, like, they mentioned that they had a number of genealogy books that were kind of from that time or later, and they seem particularly interested in how complete yours is compared to what they have.
Yeah, which is why I kind of don't want to give it up.
Well,
Guys,
then
come back and read
We're
if you need
doing
it.
fine for money right now.
Oh, we're not anymore. No, I have 1 gold.
So.
Oh wait, I now have 1,100, right?
You now have 1,100 gold.
So what do you need, Derek?
Oh, well, I put in the chat here. if you want to, hang on, how do we do this? Like, what are you willing to give? Like, are you looking to cover the cost completely?
Well, I mean, whatever Derek has, I would appreciate it if he would put in because I'm selling all the stuff. But the 200 was Callie's personal gold from before. That's fine. And then whatever else you need, she will chip in because other than buying, like this is to gear us up essentially. So
Let me lay it out
Can I
for you.
get-
So Derek paid 350, Tosha paid 163, you paid 200, Mama paid 47.
Yes.
so do you need more money?
I have 1 gold. If you're willing to give money, yes, I will totally take it.
But he doesn't. You don't need it for the project currently.
Correct, because I put in all of my money plus the 200 plus the 47 plus the 163. I didn't know what she was asking me.
Yeah, I will give you 100 gold so that you're not scrapped.
Nate,
Yes.
I'm gonna make your life difficult, and I'm very sorry for what I'm about to do.
Okay. Is
Uh-oh.
this something that needs to happen before I walk
It's
through
it's
some
transaction
of the
book
Okay,
stuff.
let's see it.
Sorry. So I took some pretty detailed notes. First off, we have a spell book of endless spells, which will never run out of pages, but none of us are wizards, so we can't do anything with it. Would they want that? It does have a disintegration spell on it, so be careful.
And it has never been opened.
Yeah.
Because of that spell.
Yep.
They look over it, they cast Identify, they see what's going on with it.
Great spell.
They offer you 2,000 gold for that book.
Cool. Any objections from anybody? Anybody think we need this?
Keep the genealogy, give up the disintegration book. Yeah.
Why can't we do like a dispel magic?
Well, it's not that. None of us are wizards. Like, none of us can do anything with the spell book anyway.
Oh,
So if
that's
they're
fair.
able to do it, then that was the thought,
Yeah,
is that way
yeah.
we could
Let
sell
'em
it to a
have it.
wizard.
I'm sorry, you gotta forget, I'm a very old woman.
No worries. It's all right. I forgot we had it. This is why I take notes. This also was with the Bead of Refreshment, the Moonblade, and the Swift Quiver scroll that we still have. So this is one of those like
I
hidden
have the
Regalian
bead
items.
of refreshment.
Mhm.
No. We're not
Oh, no, I'm
selling
just
our
saying
bead of
No. That's where it came from. Is all together. It was
it
all
was
there
in the hidden
together.
room. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Like I
No, I'm
said,
just I
very
was going through my notes of what we found there. If everyone's okay with that, 100% we'll hand that over.
Okay.
I'm going to quickly open a calculator because I'm very sorry. Remember the Dragon Defender engine? We have books that are copies of the user manual, maintenance, change work, and reproductions. We have a bunch of user manuals that we took from there.
They will pay you 500 gold for one of them, and they will pay you 500 gold for the additional lot if you promise that you have no more of them.
I'm increasingly concerned about their desire to hoard all the knowledge.
Better them than us.
I'm gonna do something really inadvisable. I will give them. Yeah.
You're going to give all of them out.
I'm gonna give them one copy, and I'll save another one for Derek in case he wants to build a Dragon Defender engine.
All right. So they take the copy. Do you just offer the one copy as like, here, we found this too?
Yeah. Yeah, basically.
You clock very quickly. The Sisters of Talia, or Daughters of Talia, are not interested in. They're not just interested in gaining knowledge. Like, it is important to them that if this, and some of this, it's not that they don't think anyone should ever have it. It's that they don't know if it's safe for anyone to have it. So they would rather know that they have it while they figure that out. But you are very aware that that's the way that they are entering into these transactions.
Okay.
So yeah, you offer up one of those, 500 gold.
There's a glowing metal instrument of some sort that comes to a point with a red bead that is humming. It is old but clean, ancient, with protective abjuration on it. It was in the humming room. I don't think we ever figured out what it was.
You did not. They kind of look over it. They do what Derek did, which is cast Identify, and they realize it's a piece of a larger thing, and they kind of don't have enough to really do much with it. But they offer you 500 gold for it.
You want to keep it, Callie?
Well, we don't need all this money. Like, there's no, but like, you have enough for what you want to do.
Okay,
Okay.
but if I have enough for 2 of them, then I can give Tosha an eye.
You already have enough for 2 of them. If you want money, I've got 1,000. You don't need more than that, right?
No, I don't need I need 750.
Okay, between him already selling the stuff he sold and mine, you have more than enough. So like selling absolutely everything we have gets
Okay,
us money, but nothing
all
else.
right. I don't need to be attacked on this. I enjoyed this statement of we don't need money.
Callie makes a
You
good
don't-
point, and I would run all of this with the group before trying to sell anything. The other note that I have, and I'm sorry, is Alar takes journeyology and a couple journals. It says including one for Eamon Keese. I'm assuming that's actually a note that I have. Either I found it and then gave it to Tosha or something, but like I have a couple of these.
You have one for Amon case, and you have a couple of journals. They seem to be maybe some journals of just folks about the castle. You they didn't seem like important people to your knowledge, and as you just in your experience looked through it, you didn't find any. It didn't look like there was anything hidden in there. It was like Steve's journal.
Do they have any interest of them in like historical contexts?
Oh,
'Cause of-
absolutely. They offer you 200 gold apiece for them.
is everyone okay with that? Because I don't think. Okay. In that case, I'll hand over the Steve and Jim journals.
Yeah.
So that's
great.
what 400 more.
Yeah, 400 more.
Okay, thank you. And there, what, 5 of us? Everybody can put down. Tosha, I know your situation is weird. Everybody gets 580 gold.
Wow.
Hang it in your stash.
Yeah, very few
I've never
people walk
seen
out
this
of a
much
library that rich.
Say we're Elon Musk right now. What the fuck?
I've never seen this much gold in my life. And I've been alive a long time.
But
Something.
also, anyone who spent a lot of time up in the north, this is more money than you would ever see for anything in Bastion. Outside of a major city, this is one of the few hubs where you could actually get like large amounts of money for the right things. Outside of a southern city, excuse me.
Just because I'm in here with my notes, something we might want to ask him to research at some point. I have something in here for Isan Beatrice, same direct line as the Fae, the first or one of the first folks with the saloon mark in the genealogy. So, on the off chance we're still interested in that, that might be something we want them to look into.
Well, yeah, it's my family line. Sure, why not? I mean, I might not remember, but we'll do our best.
All right, I'm done. I have questions for people and stuff, but like we don't need to worry about the buying of things right now. So I'm good.
Cool.
One quick thing, sorry, this is really quick. Just because we recently learned that Mama might have the fade and she's the only one that knows the recipe for the tea and stuff, maybe she could scribe it down.
That was I was going to suggest that once we started passing days, is that you were asked by the Daughters of Talia if you would help them understand that book. And it'll only take you 2 days, but you can take 2 days to kind of like walk through it. And as you're going through it, you realize that the knowledge that the grandmother of the mountain gave you is helping you understand pieces of this book you couldn't before. And you realize that there are some things that this book does not talk about, and the knowledge is just in your head. You just know this is true. So you actually shortcut a little piece where you would have had to find some other information that this book didn't have. But you kind of assure them that I know this to be true. A lot was given for me to know this to be true. But after 1 day,
I do in those 2 days.
Yeah.
I do take time to sit down with Callie, and I give her a shorthand version of the same thing
nice.
Thank you.
because I'm a little suspicious of how rich we got, how quickly.
This is the kind of thing that some of them would spend their lifetime trying to find a single piece of what you found in that cache.
Mm-hmm.
After 1 day, Derek, you are presented with a dragon scale shield. It is a +1 shield. Um, After 3 days, you are presented with a +1 breastplate. It is made of dragon scale.
Put a bow on it. I don't know how to do a bow though, so it's just like like when you're a little kid and you're trying to tie your shoes, so you just do the first part over and over and over and over and over and over and over again until it's kind of tight, I guess.
Just a big knot, just extended
Yep,
out,
just all the way out.
dangling at the end. Excellent.
I'm pleased as punch. This has given me something to do over the next couple of days. It's going to take me a day or two just to get these knots out. I am so proud of you. Thank you. Just like wiping tears. This is the nicest outfit I've ever been given.
Oh, that'll be 70 gold.
Hey,
I'm just kidding.
You can subtract my
Just
47 from it.
the
No,
the
it's good.
letter that we gave from Kamishava to Mother Korin, we found similar letters with a similar enchantment in the Mud Skipper bag that we found on the way here. Did those have an address like deliver to X on them? Because it just says
No.
Dorello seal in my notes.
It was the Dorello seal. It appeared to have a similar enchantment to the one that the Kamishava letter had. But no, there's no address on it.
Okay.
And Alar, I think we discussed this when you found it. It seems like a dead drop. Like it seems like somebody dropped it there for somebody else to find. And there's no, if this is almost a confirmation of that as you look at it and you're like, there's nothing addressed here, but they want to know who gets it. Like this is a very specific situation.
Mm-hmm.
Where are my cough drops?
But yeah, if there's specific conversations you all want to have with each other, with anyone at this place, we can do that and then jump to kind of like I know there was a rallying of the troops that we wanted to do, so persuasion checks and things will follow. So let's start with what conversations did we want to make sure we had?
I know I wanted to talk to Mother Corin about that book.
All right. Are you bringing Alar with you as he has the book?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, and just kind of checking in with her as well after the ritual because she looked pretty worn out.
You see her sitting down with a cup of tea, a pot sitting there with a couple of spare cups and saucers. Mama.
Mother Corin.
Please, sit.
How you,
It's
how you feeling after that ritual? Good gracious.
It was more taxing than I expected. I hadn't. It's been a long time since I've done that ritual, and well, it wasn't a king's blade when I did it before. I'm well. I'm glad you're here. I have reason to hope for things that I had very largely given up hope on. And you brought that.
Well, I have a couple questions for you. It has to do with this book. Alar, if you'd be so kind. Now, we've been talking to the Sisters of Talia, and they've been very interested in a lot of the books that we found in the castle, but this one in particular, I didn't want to talk to them about it until I talked to you about it. Because it's a bit of a mystery for us. But when we showed it to Volstop out, he's one of the Ostrites.
Mm.
I know. He got oddly obsessed looking at that book. I can't understand it. You're muted.
She like leans back and reaches like up into her shoulder of her kind of gown that she has on, and pulls on a chain. And at the end, you see tiny spectacles. You've seen her don these in the
Mhm.
past. And she kind of puts them on, and as she puts them on, the outside circle of each side kind of glows with a faint light. Well, let us see this book.
He cast a language spell to read it before, but then he got real greedy looking.
Mm-hmm.
You know the look.
It's this is in the language of the higher beings, the celestial.
Um, higher beings as in saloon, or higher beings as in, old gods?
No, no, gods in general, not particularly old ones, although I suppose they are all quite old.
Mm.
But gods, uh, angels, the like. This is their language. In fact, only half of the knowledge of this book is contained within the words. It's a strange language. It's meant to be sung, and in the singing, you get additional meaning and understanding.
Can
And
any. Sorry.
you see her kind of like pick up the book, and she holds it up, and she almost like a church hymnal just kind of like
Mhm.
starts in. And as she sings, you can kind of hear a chorus around here, just this ghostly other voices kind of following along with hers and giving additional color to the words. And the words don't make a lot of sense. They're just sounds really to you. But as she sings, it's almost as though pictures of a place kind of appear in your head, uh, and you can see you don't see words anywhere. You don't see a banner, but you just know in your head what you're looking at is known as the trial of the firstborn. Um, and you hear arguments between. There's this great wreath of wings, kind of in a circle, and ensconced in flame, with a great eye at the center, and a booming voice kind of emanates from it. Uh, and you just hear, mistakes were made. No one anticipated that Weird and Woad could beget more of themselves. This was unforeseen. The great beasts and plants and gods of the realm are threatened by these creatures. They grow and reproduce too swiftly. While we know Valis Gadan has been looking for solutions, if there were more space, if there were other places that these Eldar of the woods could go, they would cease to be threatened. They would cease to threaten the order of this realm. And it kind of like fades out, and you see Mother Corin kind of blinks and like looks at the book. Where did you find this?
We found it in the castle that rose from the swamp.
This. It says record of the Pact of the Moon. I. I think. I think this is the story of the curse. Where we are, what has happened to us.
Mother
I.
Corin, is it the fate, or did we ever know the story of the curse?
No. We. Our clans, the, the mist, the mist seers, and beyond, the elves of the wood, uh, in our entirety, we don't age the same as other elves. We are capable of living much longer were it not for the fade. I think this. I think this explains why.
To clarify, when you say age the same as other elves, are you basically saying that like wood elves live 1,000 years, but they hit fade at like 300, 400 something,
So
and then
most,
high elves do 400 years? I don't know
yeah,
the.
most elves make it to 3 to 500. 500's like really a stretch in this world, and wood elves, um, when they do reach 500, they typically don't look aged. They don't look. Mama doesn't really look much older than Callie. She talks older than Callie, right? But she doesn't look much older than Callie. And Callie will presumably look about the same by the time she starts to fade. This is not true for other elves. Other elves you see become wizened, much like Vernon is outside.
Hmm. Well, Mother Corn, I'm afraid I've given you one surprise after another.
You've put me in a difficult position, Mama.
Hmm.
I, in my position, know that this book best rests in the hands of the daughters of Talia. But you have given me temptation like I have never known. Would you stay with me while I read this?
Yes.
And she turns to you, Alar, and she says, I guess you're here.
I would very much appreciate getting to hear it as well.
She looks like she doesn't really trust you, but like she's gone too far already.
Um, I will go down to like wherever they're sitting, like take a seat next to them, and then just kind of like you know the way that like the old friends kind of like sit together kind of thing where they're relaxed, but there's this sense of just like leaning in and paying a lot of attention. That's kind of what Aylar is basically doing. The idea being that like reinforcing whatever friendships grown up between uh Hazel and Elias by this point.
And she continues to sing. And for the rest of the evening, the pages kind of move on their own as she holds the book out, and there's a slight glow. But again, these pictures just play out in your mind. You don't know what any of the words mean. You feel as though if you did, you might actually get more color or more information from the story, but you are getting a great deal of it from just experiencing celestial beings sung to you. Um, but to give you, she sits down and has story time with you. I'm going to give you a rundown of the high points. So, Corellin, his bride Arashni, who too sought childer of her own among the world. His consort and fellow progenitor of the line of Weirdenwold, Rillifain, they stood in stark defiance of those who would see Weirdenwold end. Uh, so Corellin, Arashni, and Rillifain were all very against. It seems like the gods and the primordial beings of this world were just like murder them, get rid of them, unmake them, whatever it takes. Actually, murder doesn't come in here. You don't see any reference to killing or death. You see fixing the problem, sending them somewhere else, unmaking them, but you don't see any reference to killing. Um, and you see backed from beyond the Seldarine, Saloon of the Greater Moon would not stand to see the destruction of the forest children who she'd come to love and protect as her own. Against these stood Anshar, the Black Moon, leading several of the greater and lesser gods of the realm, many of whom foresaw the folly of letting these creatures go unchecked, even if they did like them, and you see like various beings kind of step forward and say, I love these creatures. These creatures are important to me. They do great works in this world, but I see where this is going. Um, After a great deal of discussion back and forth, Valiscadon's failure to find a solution, Saloon and Relafane bring forth a solution, and kind of in shame, you see them step forward, heads bowed. These entities, these unknowable entities, as you kind of try and look at them in your mind's eye, they reflect more like bright light, or if you're looking at clashing colors in a pattern that you can't stare at. But they say, you hear a soft voice as the moon speaks and says, the chaos of the moon could take the children's minds with time. They would fail to rise to the level of gods and would not threaten the beasts or nature of this realm as they do now. And as she kind of explains, essentially that the lunacy could take over, and this would allow them to kind of be pacified as they became too old and too great to that they might cause issues for the gods. And this was found to be acceptable, and the pact was sealed by Anshar, Selûne, and Rilifane. And no new children of the gods could be created until such a time as a more effective solution was created. And then and this was the trial of the firstborn. You get into the Pact of the Moon, as it is known, and this is kind of like the next section. And unknown to most of the rest of the gods, Selûne made a pact with Weird and Woad. In compensation and consolation, Selûne offered the knowledge of Silvervine Leaf, which could only grow in the light of the moon on the great Eldar trees. This can ease the burden of her failure and prevent their knowledge and history from being lost. And then you see further on the addendum to the pact. Followers of the Black Moon worked with Valiscadon to create a solution. The Black Moon was shattered and scattered across the worlds when the gates were opened. New children could be created because a new solution was presented, that of death. But without the Black Moon acting to unseal the Pact of the Moon, the children of Weird and Woad must continue fighting both the Fade and mortality, as this new danger of death has been created, and Anshar is gone and cannot undo the pact that she was a part of.
Nate,
Yes.
we've never heard the name Enshar before, right?
You have not. You've never heard of the
However,
Black Moon.
well, about that,
Mm-hmm.
there was that symbol, black gem of the moon that we found after we fought Putrid Eustace that we destroyed.
There was. How interesting.
Yep.
You also have heard, I believe this was in, I don't remember which of the books it was in, but I know that you had heard rumors that the asteroid belt that circles opposite the moon was not there in all of the histories. That is something else that you have been aware of when it comes to these celestial bodies.
Can I ask for one thing to clarify my notes?
Sure.
For the Enshar thing, it was because there is no black gem to... What was that part?
Because Anshar is gone. The Black Moon is gone. And because because the original pact that created the Fade was signed and sealed by Anshar, no one else can unseal it. It would have to be her that were to do
Gotcha.
so.
Enshar is gone because the black moon is gone. We can't undo the pact. There isn't anything in what they mentioned of the old gods. Where
There's no words. Nobody says Velis Theus Calmente, but there's mention of Valis Gadon and Valis Gadon's failure.
Mm-hmm. No, sorry, I meant for Enshar in particular.
No, there's nothing really. They're just other entities that happen to have a stake in this trial, essentially.
Okay.
Weird question.
Mm-hmm.
If little gods are sort of being reborn like Val, could then Enshar come back?
I guess that's something you'll just have to find out.
Everyone gets a pet.
A little tiny black moon.
Yeah, just bring back the black moon that opposes Saloon, and everything will be great.
Undo death.
Come on. Everybody knows you start in a town and then you kill God.
Maybe we can be
kill
friends and
rats
they
in a
can bring back
basement.
Thorn. Why be a tree when you can just be alive again? Mama turns evil.
This is Mama's villain.
What do you mean turns? I'm already there.
Okay. It's good to know.
So I sit there with Mother Corin and the Alar.
Evil party. Evil.
And Mother Corin, as she stops and closes the book, as she approaches the final pages, you can see just tears like streaming down her face as she's like reading through this.
I don't know that we'll ever recover from that. Lord.
Yeah.
Is there any mention in there about Corlon and Arushne's response to this pact? It mentions Enshar, Rilithane, and Saloon at the end.
They, from what I could read, from what I could see, reading the words, it seemed like they were displeased with the choice. And their not signing was a way of showing their discontent. Corlan, of course, these were his children, and Arashni had, well, as we've seen play out, I believe, dreams of her own children and domination, I think. Although, who's to say what was of her mind at that time?
Is this safest for us to give it to the Sisters of Talia?
I think I would have them know of it. But if you would like to offer it to them, we would gladly pay you a great deal. If you do not want, if you would like to take it with you, if you have any reason to hang on to it, this knowledge can't be lost again. I do think this is the best place for it, Mama. But if you have reason to keep it, I won't tell them until after you leave what I have learned here today.
Give me a night to think on it. My thinker's not as fast as it used to be.
And yet your speaker is...
Well, that's never slowed down. That never has. Runs, 0 to 60.
Think as you will. I too will think on this, but I will not. I will not inform them of what you've brought to light until you. My understanding is that the ascension is coming soon, and you will be gone again. I will tell them after you have left for such.
As we seem to be facing old rulers, old gods, old monsters. That's the only thing sticking with me at the moment.
I don't. This book is magical in some way, but I think it has more to do with why it is still around. This must be. This recounting is old. I couldn't say if it's contemporary or not. That's not really my. I couldn't figure that out myself. But I think it is protected in some way. It is part of the reason I feel comfortable with you taking off with such an important text. I think that it will find its way back here eventually.
I don't doubt that.
It is. I will leave that to you. I will speak nothing of it until you are gone.
Thank you. And I would not change this experience with you for anything.
I'm glad you're still here, Mama.
Me too. Me too.
All right. Anything else that we want to cover? Otherwise, I think I'll have us do some rolls.
No, other
Rolling.
than I'd like to take Mama with me for talking to people because Callie's persuasion is. And she knows it. I'm not a people person, I'm a survivor.
These hands are made for guidance, and that's just what they'll do.
All right. Derek, I do want you to give me your crafting tools. I would like you to give me a check. I don't know which tools you're using. Probably smithing tools?
Presumably Smith's tools.
Yeah, so I do need you to give me a check for the... 1 second. The backpack. The launcher.
Sure. What is that?
It should be Smith's tools plus, we'll say wisdom.
It doesn't say like any pluses next to Smith's tools.
But
just that I
you're
have-
proficient in it, so it's your proficiency bonus plus your wisdom.
Got it. Excellent. Oh, hell yeah. It's a +6. Oh, that's a 16.
All right, a 16.
I rolled a 10.
You tested a few times with some rocks. It looks pretty solid. You're pretty sure that, like, it's not perfect. So if you, say, are really unlucky, mechanics-wise, if you roll a 1, it will jam up and stop working until you take some time to fix it. But no, it looks like until then, it will work as expected. But
The burning question has been born.
after 3 days, before you make this, after 3 days of shockingly difficult toil, as you're like, okay, like these are, I see, I'm like combining these like different ingots and this slag essentially. I can refine it into dark steel. I just need these essences. I need to get this fire going. But the moment that the essence is light and you start putting the metal into it, it becomes, even when it's white hot, incredibly hard to form and shape. And you like test it a couple times, and as you get one bit, you kind of have this like little chunk that you're kind of testing with, and you don't really shape it. You're just kind of seeing how it turns out. Once it cools, you can't get it to do anything. It is just like a little rock of dark steel. But
Oh, I wish I didn't make it into a penis. This is awkward.
But over 3 days, you're able to actually craft this slowly and through great effort, this dark steel cog. And as you finish it, as you would with any piece, you put a little maker's mark stamp into it with your little goblin sigil. And as you stamp that into place, it floats up in front of you. And you can kind of see the world around you dims until you can't see more than about 5 feet from you, and it seems like it's just you and the cog. The cog rotates upright, and you can see kind of in the glint off of one side of the cog a reflection, and in that reflection you see 2 trees on a hillside over a stream, and the cog kind of rotates and you catch a different facet with a different reflection, and in that reflection you see your father taking the head off of another goblin.
Is it my
Actually,
mom?
no, it's the goblin band leader of that band that you saw kind of hunting near his lands. It moves and there's a little glint off of it, and you see like in a hand, you just see kind of a dainty hand, maybe a human, maybe an elf, but it's definitely probably one of those. You see a scepter with a small clawed grip at the very bottom, holding a gem, and a bird's beak coming off of that. A scepter that you saw in a castle a few weeks ago that went missing. Being wielded in somebody's hand and glowing with a purple and green light. And that fades, and then you see some dude. You're not sure. Some human.
Some dude. I think you see some dude.
Just some dude walking along behind what look to be maybe mud skippers. You're not sure. Just talking and talking and talking, and you can see as he's like not paying attention, one of the mud skippers draws a knife and turns back towards him. And just as he raises the knife, you see a black cat-like beast appear on one side of the mud skipper, and then another one on the other side, and both seem to flank him at the same time. And the dude goes running off into the muck of the marshlands. And as this continues to rotate, you hear a hum, and you kind of feel the floor fall away from you as though you're simply floating. And you just hear a voice, a familiar one. You have done well. And as you hear Fate's voice, this cog is joined by a cog made of stone of some kind, joined by a cog made of wood of some kind, and several others, until before you is not Fate. It's a similar creature, but it's distinctly different in structure and shape, but it is made up of similar cogs. And it turns towards you. Child, creator of destiny, thank you. I am Destiny.
Oh shit.
Sibling of Fate. I look forward to working with you in the future. And there's a flash, and it's gone. And you look, and this fucking cog you just spent making for 3 days is gone.
God damn it, I'm a father. I guess I look over at Grass and I'm like, look, I always told my family that smithing was better than drugs. It's nice to be right. I need a pen.
As you say that, you see Grass, 2 things. Grass looks over at you and his eyes are like glowing some like bright, one of them a bright purple and one of them a bright yellow, and they're like holding a like white hot blade in their bare hand. And so when you say smithing is as better than drugs, he just like nods at you.
Over here getting high with Grass. Oh, I get it.
Smithing, not sniffing.
Smithing, get shot.
Boo.
That was good.
Smithing, not smithing.
All right. But you managed to complete your gas. It's gone. You feel that spell lifted off of you, and you are no longer owing your person, your creature, your ally. Which also you can feel a slight glow kind of come back to that necklace that you have, as you're not in debt, so you are more than free to use it again.
Sweet. We'll hold off for now.
Don't need to jump back into debt immediately.
What am I? American between the ages of 22 and 28?
28.
Yeah, I know. I heard myself say it.
Nate,
Yes.
that very talkative man who ran out into the mud, considering Derek was there for it, would he recognize a man by the name of Gregor?
Derek, do you pay attention to random folks that your party talks to?
Specifically because we had a conversation afterwards about me possibly you wanted me to buy the teleportation tablet off of you.
Oh, that's right.
So he could go back to Lug.
Yeah, Derek, there is something familiar about this person that you saw.
Why couldn't he have just been killed, Nate? What do I have to roll for him to die?
What do I have to roll for him to die?
Usually you're in combat when you ask a question like that, but you know.
Why did he live?
I mean, to be fair, that's small potatoes compared to the scepter issue in my mind, but that's also because I don't give a fuck about Gregor.
Why did he live? I don't know. Maybe it has to do with destiny. Maybe that has to do with why he's reflected.
No, it's my fault. Stupid kids.
All right. So, Derek, you successfully complete the crafting that you plan on completing in this 2 weeks. So you do have a dark vision eye. For let's see, cog is crafted. Alar,
shit.
Go ahead and give me a persuasion check as you're trying to talk somebody, probably one of the Sisters of Talia, into teaching you how to make some sort of bombs, explosives, or like improved sort of alchemy for what's coming up.
Okay. I'm very glad I broke out the Tiger's Eye dice. That is going to be, where's persuasion? +3. That is going to be a 17.
17. With a 17, you are pointed to a gnome. There's not a lot of them here. There's not a lot of trust for gnomes.
Right. Sorry.
But they are the chief knowledge. They are the chief, knowledgeable person on alchemy that you're being introduced to, at least. But they offer you to either kind of help you learn how to make improved explosives, or to improve and concentrate poisons. And just from a game mechanic perspective, that means that you could make poison that you already know how to make, but you could make a roll to increase the save DC against that poison.
Mm-hmm.
Nice,
Yeah.
that's cool.
I was gonna ask as one of the potential things for it to like be able to do that kind of thing for alchemist stuff, yeah.
And you think if you had been even a slight bit less lucky, they wouldn't have mentioned the poison thing.
I am trying to think on what would be better against a tree. I like, because that's the scary thing.
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
I would go for poison, because the higher DC, the more likely it is to be affected. And at least from what I know of explosives in the DMG, they're kind of low yield.
Yeah, they do
So
kind of suck as written. It's kind of hard to balance them.
I mean, they're not bad. Like extra attacks for
Yeah,
Alar
yeah,
basically because
yeah,
the
yeah.
thing. So it works for me. For everybody else, it's not as good. Yeah, I'll go with the poisons.
Okay. Yeah, so over the course of 2 weeks, you spend a good deal amount of time with them, but it does take 2 weeks of training, essentially, to do any of the things you would learn as you're adding that recipe.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so you can, when you make your poisoner's kit, if you exceed the DC by 5 or more, or if you make a poisoner's kit roll when you're just extracting poison from something, for example, that gland, um, you can make a poisoner's kit roll, and on a DC 20, you can increase the DC by 2. If you can hit a 25, you will increase it by 3, and if you can hit a 30, you can increase it by 4.
Okay, good to know.
Can you hit a 30?
Eventually,
High
depending.
level rogues with expertise, yeah, I could do it. Take work, but yeah.
Um, cool. Callie, you're spending your 2 weeks on that mind training.
Yes.
So, with your 2 weeks of mind training, you do feel like uh, creatures that wanted to peer into your mind were kind of capable of doing so unrestricted previously. And that this 2 weeks of training actually means that they will have to essentially make a check or you will gain a save in cases where historically you did not. Um,
Whew. Okay.
in addition, you may roll any saves against being charmed or frightened with advantage.
Ooh. Thank you. That is great.
And then Colin, go ahead and I just looked back over this. Go ahead and subtract 2 from the DCs from all of those on yours. So it starts at an 18 instead of a 20.
Okay. I'll want to double check stuff with you later. So yeah,
Yep.
cool.
Yep.
Sounds good.
Tosha, you have been sitting down kind of trying to learn how to better understand magic and your magic and better control it. Um, you actually sit down with Glory, who is a ritualist. Um, their specialty here is kind of keeper of these rituals and performing the sort of like training of better controlling magic in that way. Um, we'll talk about the benefit that you get later. We've talked about it already. We'll see when that shows up. Uh, then, Mama, what are you doing for 2 weeks?
Well, I know I'm researching places.
Right. So do you go out with the scouting crew that's kind of like looking?
Yes.
And as a druid, particular of the mountain and of this mountain specifically, um,
Hmm.
you're going to improve their chances. Because this is something that has kind of been a long-standing problem that has not been solved, and it did lie fallow for a while. It was going to be with disadvantage because you are here. It will be rolled flat.
Okay.
But I do need one survival roll from you, Mama.
Okay. That's a 16.
So with the 16, you you realize there's the switchback trails that kind of go up the front side of the mountain. Historically, there have been, at least within your lifetime, it's happened 3 times. There have been like rock slides or mudslides that have kind of taken it out, and it's needed to be cleaned back up. Um, but as a group, you kind of identify this is the safest part of the mountain and probably the most stable. So you could turn this into the Memory Grove and kind of do as much as you can to protect it. But you do know that like there's certain sections of this switchback trail that has a lot of smaller trees because when there have been rock slides or other issues, it's been pretty bad. The mountain itself is not moving, and the shelf that the blight land is on is stable and broad. But as you've kind of like done a loop with the specific intent in mind, um, you've identified this as being the best spot. You have concerns of its long-term longevity, but you know that it'll probably be. I mean, it's certainly better than doing it in the valley.
Mm.
But Kelly
Yeah.
and Mama's out ranging, so Mama cannot actually join you on these conversations.
Okay.
But you could bring someone else along if you would like someone else to help with the talking part.
I guess probably Alar is, you know.
All
I
right.
mean, I'm at a +3 persuasion as well, and have guidance.
And you're both welcome to come. Might just like you're busy.
Callie comes up. There's just a half elf and a goblin both holding hands as we're here for emotional assistance.
So you
Thank
get Callie, before we start rolling. You you are first approach Mother Corin as kind of someone who like can probably pull strings to like if you need a bunch of people is probably the place to start.
Yeah.
In talking to Mother Corin, um, very like over the centuries, uh, a lot of very important folks to the temple have been lost to exactly this cause.
Mm.
And Mother Corin is not just against sending anyone, she is not allowed to send anyone. It is actually something that the temple has determined they cannot send their own to do this. If someone decides of their own volition to go to take this quest up, they're more than welcome to. They can, to a minimal extent, requisition things from the temple, but that there's not like a she can't send like like 10 guards with you or something like that. That's not really an option she has, but she does point you in a couple of directions. She says if you could convince Vernon to allow Graz to join, that would that could help you, although it would put them without a smith until Graz has a replacement that is trained to the level that he is at, which takes decades. You could talk to Penance, who's particularly strong, but again is singular in his level of skill at what he does, and you would have to convince him that it is worth the effort. Um, there are perhaps some daughters of Talia, but none that are. Very few of them are really kind of skilled in that way. Direct combat isn't necessarily something that a lot of them handle, and it's certainly not with a beast like this. The Druid Circle is, and Mama would have mentioned this by now, but the Druid Circle's not nearby at this time. Generally speaking, they're all out ranging, doing their own thing, and they come back and meet up at specific times. So that's you kind of have those like three that you could interrogate or work with or try to work with.
Okay. I'd like to focus on. Oh no. Was it perseverance? What's it?
Penance.
Penance. Penance and the sisters, because like even if they can't fight, if they can heal or protect, like if they can boost, they don't have to go in the fray. Like keep us alive, and we'll do the dirty work. But we need support.
I'll make them backpacks.
Yeah. But I don't want to leave them. Like I understand, I don't want to take their one smithy. Like I know warrior is also hard, but like as cool as he is, I'd rather. He's very specialized, and so I'll leave him with the town. I don't want to take him. However, if he wants to part with like weapons, might be fine with that.
Yeah, so you go to Penance. You can go ahead and just make the persuasion roll with guidance. Whoever's rolling it.
Excuse me.
Well, I guess like because Kelly is the one who has to do the talking. Am I doing it with help from Ayla, or am I
You are
helping?
doing it with help. And as you, Callie,
think I just-
brandish the Elven Paragon sword with the
Mm.
symbol of the former king to this tiefling turn paladin, it does reduce the DC on this particular character.
Okay. The total on the first one is 16 plus the guidance 3, so 19.
All right. With a 19, luckily you've attuned to the sword, and he's been made aware of your esteem. With a 19, you do get him swearing his blade if it means that you will release the blight.
Yeah, that's the goal.
Remove, not release. Release sounds bad. Remove the blade.
Yeah. Release them from the effects of the blight, I guess. Yeah.
Release the
And
Kraken.
Sisters of Talia, go ahead and make the roll there. This is at a slightly harder DC because there's not a...
Fair.
They don't have the
All right.
same moral stance as
Fair
this
enough.
one.
Yeah. Imagine all the knowledge you can get firsthand.
Ow! Being hit with lightning hurts. Write it down.
The second roll was cocked, so I'm just re-rolling it. The first one was 10.
I heard
12
an
plus
oh
3,
no.
15.
15.
Yeah.
You hear one say that the only person I think that would really take this on is Brea, and we haven't heard from her in months now. I'm sorry. We can offer you. Some of us are already working on research for this purpose. We will do everything we can with that.
Yeah, that's the best I could do.
We can offer. Are there those among you who can use scrolls or the like?
Depending on what they're written in. Oh wait, no, we've got Tosha. Absolutely, we can.
I can
Presuming they can read.
create, or we do have some scrolls for healing purposes. We have some, given your mission, we have some older ones. They're very powerful. We haven't had need for them, but if this gets rid of the blight, we would offer those instead of a person.
That would be astounding. Yes. Thank you. Whatever you can provide, graciously accept. Thank you.
Are they written in Braille?
They're not. They're not, but they are divine scrolls made by clerics. One of them is the spell heal. One of them is the spell...
hang on. Scroll. What level is heal?
6th or 7th. One of those.
Okay, next.
One of them is mass cure wounds. And one of them is greater restoration.
Why
Anybody
is it
want
so
their
hard?
eyes back?
Maybe use Trigger to
What
restoration on the tree.
level is Mass Cure Wounds?
I think that's 5.
And then, sorry, heal, 7th spell scroll, Mass Cure Wounds. It's free.
Heal is 6. Nate was right.
Yeah, heal's a 6th level spell. There we go.
Okay.
Mass Cure Wounds is 5th.
Yep. And Greater Restoration, I think, is 5th. Yep.
Greater Got it.
Guidance would boost for these, but I think that's the only thing we can do to like make your rolls better. And if you roll poorly, we burn the scroll without it working, right?
Correct.
Yep.
Love me some high-level scrolls.
Oh, I know.
And they do offer you 2 potions of superior healing.
Ooh, very good. Thank you.
Somebody else take the healing potions.
Me, I can heal fastest with those. Because I can give them to you as a bonus. I can double up if I need to.
All right. Well. All right. So we will pick up next time with the research findings, and you all can decide. You do have a backup if you want to clear out the blight with the help of Penance, a level paladin, or if you want to give all that stuff back and just plant him on the hillside and hope for the best. But thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you all for being here. I'm really excited to see you all learn these things that I wrote like a year ago. I'm learning, like, as I'm reading this stuff to you, I'm like, oh man, I forgot about that. That sounds important. Anyway, thank you, everyone, for joining. Happy Sunday night. We will see you all again next weekend. Same Patty time, same Defara channel. Later.
Bye.
Happy Easter. Remember, Jesus gave up his weekend for your sins.